All right, shalom everybody, and peace of the Lord to all of you. I hope you hear me good from your side. Please invite your friends. Today our topic actually is very important, especially for Christians, because those questions always the Muslims they use, and most of the Christians they do not know really how to answer because you are not used to even encounter such a questions. So we are in Discord, and we are in Rumble, and we are in YouTube. So if there is any Muslim would like to join us, feel free, and we will be happy to have you. And we will see if the Muslims have legitimate argument, or it is just a foolish argument as usual. I will play this video as a start. Our brother here is a Christian, and he is responding to a video, a short video, very short, from Sheikh Uthman. Now, Sheikh Uthman, he called himself Sheikh, but just to give you a note, this guy is not a Sheikh. You do not know anything about his religion. He got famous by the help of David Wood and Sam Shamoun and what's his name, the third one. They went to the park. They did not even debate him, but then he published a video says 3 Christians they came to me and wow, he destroyed them, right? So this guy was nobody, and he is not a sheikh. Even the Muslim, they make fun of him. But he became famous by the help of some naive Christians who they always have a very naive touch wherever they go. Otherwise, this person, nobody know him, nobody listen to him, and he is an idiot. We can prove it. Even the Muslim, they make tons of videos laughing at him. However, today our topic is not about him really. It's about how to show you how Muslims are hypocrite and liars, and how you as a Christian, because your priest don't teach you anything, you do not know how to answer. You know why the Muslims are. This guy Uthman, he claimed to be a sheikh. Where is the Christian priest? Why we don't see them? You know what I mean? They get salary. This is what they do. This is what they do supposedly. They are priests. But do they do what they are hired to do? Absolutely not. So in our churches, sadly, the priest is like, depends which church, but all of them, they are doing the same thing, regardless if it's a Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox. The priest is doing a business. He get, he earn money, salary. He go for a funeral, for a wedding, baptism, and every Sunday he open the church for 2 hours. He read for you a chapter from the Bible. Thank you very much. Wave your hand to Jesus. Bye-bye. No teaching, no refuting, no answering for, for like the Antichrist groups, because simply he don't want to put himself in such a position. He want to have a very nice, funny, fun job. A job where you have to encounter liars is not fun. It's going to bring you stress, responsibility. People will hate you, which means they are doing everything to avoid Jesus' teaching, because Jesus told you, when you speak in my name, they will hate you. This is why they avoid to speak in the name of Jesus, to encounter the woke, the Muslims, the LGBT, the all kind of cults around us. So we are here to do what your priest is not doing. I should not be here. This is not my job. I'm not a priest, neither a bishop. But because the priests, they are shameful men. And instead, actually, we have a pope. He pray for Allah and he pray for Islam. Go check it out. He said, may God protect Islam. This is the Pope. We have a Protestant guy, his name is James White. He said, whoever say Islam as terrorism as a whole, he's a liar. But we know that Islam, all of it is about terrorism. We have Orthodox bishops praising Hamas for they are a scumbag like them. So when somebody says to you, we have to obey the church leaders, the first question, which church leaders? We shall not obey a church leader unless he is a leader. Unless he is a leader of a church, not a club of political correctness. All right? So let us play this video and see what's happening here. Now, just to give you credit, this person, his name is Michael Noels. I don't know if I'm saying the name correctly, Noels. I don't know if I have to say the K first or I ignore the K. K Noel or Noels. I'm not sure. Anyway, so this is his video. We give him a credit for the video. And let us go.
Today, there's no game today. These are just clips that Professor Jacob has found me that will require my extemporaneous theological analysis. Is that right? Okay, I'll take your silence as either assent or evidence that you've just fallen asleep in the control room. Take it away.
You yourself said God can't be killed, then you said Jesus was killed. Come on,
For the purpose. No, for the purpose.
Listen.
For the purpose of dying for our sins. And I'm never.
Was God killed?
I wouldn't say God can't. Hold on. Let me rephrase. God cannot be destroyed.
Was God killed?
God cannot be destroyed.
You're not answering the question.
God cannot be destroyed.
Here you see that the Christians, he is struggling because he didn't know what to say. He know that the Muslim trying to play games. So how we can answer such a question? Do we have any Muslim would like to join us? Do we have any Abdul would like to join us about what Sheikh Uthman he said? Can God be killed? I challenge any Muslim, if any of you Muslims have balls, you see the Sheikh Uthman, he don't dare to debate me, don't dare to talk to me. He exchanged his phone number with Sam Shamoun. He invite him for a dinner because both are hypocrite. They would give him a hug. Go watch the video. So they went there to make him famous. They supported him actually. He will never dare to debate me. He will make all excuses to avoid such a debate. Now, as long Sheikh Uthman is a potato coward, who is the Muslim he is not a coward and he agree with Sheikh Uthman? We want a Muslim only, please. If you are not a Muslim, don't put your hand up. We want Muslims. Do we have any Muslim? Who is a brave Muslim? He have the guts to come to the stage. All right. Go ahead, Hafsah.
Hi, peace, everyone.
Peace, peace. Hafsah, you are a Muslim?
Yes, I'm a Muslim.
Can Allah be killed?
No,
Why?
because Allah is ever living. He's nothing like his creation. He's uncreated, and he's eternal.
All right. So let us analyze the answer. Hafsah, she gave us one by one. The first one, you said he's ever living, correct?
Yep.
But Muslims never saw Allah, never heard Allah, never spoke to Allah. So how the ever living is ever mute?
Are you saying because we didn't see Allah, how do we know he's living?
No, he never talked to you. Did Allah spoke to Muhammad?
He spoke to, yep. And he also spoke to Moses in the burning bush.
No, you see, the God of Moses is not your God. Don't.
It is their
this
God.
This is a story you copy from the Old Testament. Everybody know it. So I'm asking you about Allah. Muhammad, he came. So, you just mentioned that Allah spoke to Moses. Why he don't want to speak to Muhammad?
Oh, he spoke to Muhammad too. I'm
Where?
not denying that.
Show me the verse.
Was it in Hadith?
Show me.
Okay.
We are waiting for Hafsah to show
So
us.
was it in Surah Al-Iqra? Read? When it says read in the
No,
name of
this
your
is when
Lord.
this is when the angel came and he squeezed him 3 times and no mayonnaise came out. You forgot your Islamic religion story? According to Muhammad, an angel, he don't even know his name. He went to a Christian guy, the Christian guy told him, is Warqa bin Nawfal, told him, oh, the one who was squeezing you, this is Jibreel. So Allah is a mute God. He is ever living, but he never talk. All right. Allah never been seen. Allah never been seen. Allah never been seen by Muslims, not even by Muhammad.
Yes.
So he never spoke to him. He never heard of him.
Why are you saying he never spoke to him?
He never spoke to him. Where?
He spoke to him in heaven.
Where? Show me. Muhammad, he spoke to Allah in heaven?
He spoke to Prophet Muhammad behind a veil.
Show me where Allah, he said to Muhammad, hey Muhammad, and Muhammad answered him, and they have a conversation. Go ahead. And why your God, Allah, is wearing a veil? Is he a male or female? What happened, Hafsah?
No, I have the verse. It says, I think it's a hadith by Ibn Kathir.
Okay, show us what Ibn Kathir is saying.
So here is saying he raised the prophet up into the heavens according to the variations in their status. So he raised Prophet Muhammad up to heaven. I think it was Sirat Miraj journey.
And
that's where he wanted to see God, but he didn't see God, but he spoke to God.
Show me where it says he spoke God. Okay, go ahead. You know, you said he rose him. First of all, your prophet never went to heaven. Your prophet obviously went to Ethiopia. How we prove it? You see my screen?
Yep.
All right. This is what your prophet he said. So when your prophet he went to heaven, he found 3 rivers under the tree of Allah. Let us see. One of them is the Nile River. All right. He reported that Allah Messenger saying, Sayhun wa Jihun in paradise, and the Euphrates and the Nile River. So how your prophet he went to heaven, and then he found Sayhun wa Jihun is 2 rivers coming from the north, from the south of Syria, from the south of Turkey to the north of Syria, and they are very tiny. And same as Euphrates.
And I don't know what this has to do with him.
But your prophet he went to heaven. How he went to heaven and he found the Nile River there?
What does this Nile River have to do with his night journey?
This is a night journey.
No, in his night journey, he doesn't speak about seeing rivers. It's talking about
read carefully. Read
heaven
carefully.
and hell.
Okay, listen. I'm showing you reference. This is your Islamic books. All right. And your prophet, he says, the rivers of heaven, the rivers of heaven. When your
Yes.
prophet, he arrived to heaven, he said, he's describing the heaven to the Muslims. So he said that those rivers, let me show you. You see the hadith here? Can you read it for us?
Yeah. It says, I was raised to the lot tree and saw 4 rivers, 2 of which were coming out and 2 going in. Those which were coming out were the Nile and the Euphrates, and those which were going in were 2 rivers in paradise. Then I was given 3 bowls, one containing milk, and another containing honey, and a third containing wine. I took the bowl containing milk and I drank it. It was said to me, you and your followers will be on the right path of Islam.
So is that in heaven or this is on earth?
The lot tree is in heaven.
What about the rest?
Saw the rivers, 2 of which were coming out, going. Those which were coming out were the Nile and the Euphrates, and those which were going into rivers, and were 2 rivers in paradise.
So your prophet never went to paradise. This is a big fat lie, he said. He don't know.
Those which were
He don't
coming
know
out
that.
were
He
the
don't know where
Nile.
the Nile River is coming from. He do not know where the Euphrates is coming from. So if Muhammad he went to the 7th heaven, if you read here carefully, you see he describing even what heaven. So now this is Sahih Bukhari. This is very, very authentic. And Muhammad now is speaking and arriving to the lot tree, which is where in the 6th floor in the heaven.
The lot tree, I think it's in the highest heaven, the highest heaven.
Yeah, the 6th
That's
floor.
where the lot
The
tree
7th
is.
floor.
Yeah.
The 7th floor.
No, Earth is the 7th heaven, so it would have to be above Earth.
What earth in heaven?
Well, Earth is in the lower heaven.
Earth is not in the heaven. Oh, you mean it's in
the
the
7th heaven.
Oh, okay, I
The
got
7th.
it. Yeah, but the heaven have nothing to do with the earth. You see, Allah he raised the
Well,
heaven. Yeah.
Earth is part of the heavens.
No,
It is.
no.
It's the lower heaven.
Okay, isn't it your God? He says that the earth and the heaven they used to be one piece, and we split them apart. So they
I
are
think
not.
there's a verse in the Quran that says,
Yeah, the
he adorned
chapter
the lower.
21, chapter 21, verse number 30. Your God saying that the earth and the heaven they used to be one piece, and Allah he split them apart. So they are not part of each other. So now we go back. Your prophet never went to heaven, and the proof in front of us, he think that the rivers of Euphrates are coming from one source. Euphrates, Sihun, Ajihun, and the Nile River. And we know that the distance between the Nile River and Euphrates is, I don't know, 3,000 miles. I'm not sure how maybe bigger. So your prophet obviously do not know. If we go actually to the source of the Euphrates River, I mean the Nile River, I think that will be more than 4,000 miles away from the Euphrates.
What is this hadith number?
This is hadith number 5610. And this is Bukhari. So it's very authentic. So now we prove that Muhammad is a false prophet. He made a story up. Even Muhammad, he claimed that Allah, he took him in the top of a flying donkey, correct? Correct?
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's a Burak.
So Al-Buraq, it's called Buraq because he is so fast, right?
Yeah.
How many hours?
Well,
how many hours it took Muhammad to go to heaven?
I don't know.
He went at night, so the night will be what? 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but isn't it the Quran says?
It probably didn't take long because
the angels.
in the Quran it says that Allah summoned him up, so it probably didn't take that long.
No, he sent him a donkey. What are you taking? I did not take him up. He sent him a donkey, and he sent Jibril with a donkey. Correct?
Well, I don't know much.
Yeah, and then this donkey, how he can go and come back, and not only come back, he is going to come back in his way stop in Jerusalem. But we know that the Quran says that it takes the angels 1,000 years to go to heaven. Just 1,000 years to go to heaven, which means 2,000 years to go and come back. So how Muhammad with Jibreel, they went to heaven in a few hours? This is a contradiction for the Quran. For the Quran confirmed.
Where in the Quran does it say it took angels 2,000 years?
Read it, chapter 32, verse number 5.
He arranges every affair from the heavens to the earth, and an affair will go up to him. In one day the space whereof is 1,000 years of your reckoning.
Correct?
Reckoning of your present world's time. Yeah. Well, it's talking about reckoning.
Yeah, this is your time, your timing, your your calendar. So it take the angels 1,000 years from our time to go up, and that means 1,000 years to come down. So 2,000
you have
years.
to read the entire. You have to read the entire chapter to get.
You can read the whole entire again, guys. Look at this answer.
You can't just read one
if
verse.
you read the whole entire chapter, that will not change anything. It says it clearly. You can read it. Who's holding you? He arranged the affair of the heaven and earth. Is Muhammad is part of the arrange of the affair? Yes. Okay. So to take him up to heaven, if Muhammad his journey start today, if Muhammad journey start today, is going to take 1,000 years to arrive to heaven, and then another 1,000 years to come back. How Muhammad he went in a few hours?
Did you look at the tafsir of this verse?
You can look at the tafsir, no problem. It's the same. It says exactly what I'm saying to you. Check it out. Read Ibn Kathir, Qurtubi, Jalalain, whatever you want. It's the same. So until now, you Muslim, you fail to tell us that, really prove to us that Muhammad, he spoke to Allah, he went to Allah, nothing about Allah. Muslim know nothing about Allah. Allah is an old God, ancient God, pagan God, exists before Islam, and he is not an Arab God. So Muhammad, he hijacked the name. Allah invade as a name, invade the Arabian Peninsula. The Arab, they start worshipping Allah and a God, his name is Akbar. And what Muhammad did, he unified the two gods, Mr. Akbar, which is the sun, and Mr. Allah, which is the moon god. This is why we see that Abraham.
That's not true. That's not true.
Well, I have a proof. I have a proof from the Quran. I have a proof from the Quran.
Is Arabic. Allah is just Arabic for God.
No. Okay. What guys? Allah is in Arabic for God. What Allah mean then? As long it's in Arabic for God, that means if you say that the word Allah, hold on. If you say the word Allah mean God, that means the Shahada is wrong, because you should say there's no God, there's no Allah but Allah. Why you don't say in Shahada there's no Allah but Allah? You don't say that.
There's no God but God, and
yeah, you don't say that, right? Because Allah is a name, so don't fool yourself. So you say there's no God. You say there's no God but Allah, because Allah is a name. In fact, Allah is not a name. Two words. One is La, the name of your God, La, and La, Allah. This is Al mean God. La is the word which is the name of your God. As an example, if you go to chapter Yasin, verse number 36, what that verse saying? Yasin, what Yasin mean? Do you know?
Yasin is these letters are one of the miracles of the Quran.
This is not a letter. This is the word sin. Sin. The word Ya is a word mean God. The word sin is the name of the moon god. Your God is the moon god.
True.
Okay, go search right now. Go type right now. Search right now. Search for right now. Yeah. Is it true that the word Ya mean God? You will find yes. Is it true that the word sin is the moon god? You will find yes. So Yasin.
No. In the Quran we have a bunch of these words that we don't know the meaning. There's also
exactly because those are not Arabic. That's why I don't know the meaning, because they are not Arabic. So Muhammad is stealing names. You don't, you have no idea what he is using. So you Muslim now, you say, oh, this is a miracle. There's letters. I can make letters now. Okay. Zizuza. Okay, I made a miracle now. What? How in the world this is God talking, Yasin, and those are letters? What does that mean? Nothing.
It says Yasin. These letters are one of the miracles of the
No,
Quran.
Yasin,
None Allah
God
alone.
sin. You see, the Christian they say, don't do that.
Yasin.
The Christian they say, don't do that. This is sin. What does that mean? Sin mean this is the moon god religion. This is pagan. Don't do it. Until now, we use the word sin
True.
in
That's
our
not true.
English.
Though. I mean,
Yes, this is where the word
it's not
sin is coming
true.
from. So your God, Mr. Sin, is the same as the God Allah. And you Muslims, you have no proof that Allah is exist. So Allah never talk. Allah is a mute.
We have
Allah never been
um,
seen. Allah never been seen. And you, all of you Muslims, fail to prove to us any of those. In the top of that,
so in your own Bible, no one has seen God and lived. It says that in your Bible.
this is why Jesus he humbled himself, so you
No, no
you
one
can
has
see
ever
God.
seen God and
No,
lived.
Jesus he humbled God, humbled himself, so he can be seen. If you see God the way he is, nobody can see God. As an example, in the Old Testament, we have Abraham speaking to God, and Abraham he bowed down worshiping him. He saw God as a man. So Abraham he saw God and he lived, but he did not see God the way he is. The second you see God the way he is, you will be destroyed. So God he humbled himself. He came to Abraham the same as Jesus came to us. In fact, Jesus make it clear that Abraham, he is the one who came to Abraham. He said, before Abraham I am. They said to him, how you can say you are before Abraham and you are not even 50 years old? He said, truly, truly, I say to you that Abraham, he saw my day and he rejoiced for it. So in Christianity, God, he spoke to us. God, he came to us. We saw him, we spoke him, and we spoke to him, and we learned from him. In Islam, you have a fiction God. No proof of his existence. In fact, we can prove that he doesn't exist very easy. Because if Allah is a true God, she left. I don't know why she left. Do we have any Muslim when I replace her? She get tired. Any Muslim want to replace this lady? You know, I respect her more than the Muslim men. Look, she is a woman. She took to the stage. Muslim men, they have no balls. Do you see the Muslim men, the cowards? They don't dare to come to the stage. This lady, she's brave. At least she tried.
You can bring oh yeah.
Huh?
I was just gonna explain to you Yasin and Alif Lam Mim. These are just some words we see in the Quran that, you know, are divine from God. We don't know their meanings. It's just we know. This just proves the authenticity of the Quran.
So if somebody
And
fabricates some words and nobody know what they mean, that means it's authentic, right? I like that. So now I can fabricate some words, and because nobody know what they mean, that mean I am very authentic person, right? Engineer, are you a Muslim engineer? Maybe you can help her.
Alhamdulillah, I'm Muslim. What do you need? What's your question?
All right. What is the proof that Allah is exist? And the first question we ask, can Allah be killed?
Of course not.
I agree with you, because you cannot kill something does not exist. Now,
Bro,
can you
what?
prove to me that Allah is exist?
Yes, of course. We
Go,
have
go.
miracles.
You have miracles?
Yes, miracles that are active today. Like
Oh,
the Quran.
really? Can you give me one?
So, the Quran itself is a miracle. You understand? Because an illiterate man couldn't produce a poetic masterpiece like this that has so many scientific accuracies. This is the proof.
All right. Let us see the miracle. What I know that Allah was stealing Quran from the ant. Isn't it the ant was making the Quran? How nobody can make Quran and Allah is quoting the ant, taking the Quran of the ants, which have copyright of the ant corporation. This is the chapter of the ant, chapter 27, verse number 18. And here Allah is copying a conversation between Solomon and the ant. You said nobody can make Quran. Can you read for me?
Yeah. I read it.
No,
Well,
read it.
which
I want to hear it.
glory?
No,
Was that the Quran is above. It
no, no. Don't
transcends.
give me a speech. Read it. Read it for me. Read it for me. Read it.
I'm fine. I'm not going to read it.
Why not? Are you ashamed?
No, of course not. I'm just not
So
going
I'm
to read
giving you
it.
opportunity to teach
Because I've
Quran
already
to the
read it.
Christians. Look, there are
Okay.
thousands of Christians listening to you. This will be a great opportunity for you to recite the Quran for us, so people see how amazing this book is. So you said nobody can make Quran, but the ant is making Quran. Who is the one who is talking here? The ant, she said.
Not the ants. It's not the ant making the Quran.
No,
It's
it's the ant
Solomon
said. It's
talking to
the
the
ant
ants.
talking. Yes, it's the
So it's
ant. Read carefully.
revealed.
One of the
It's,
ants said, until now Allah is talking.
and
O
I've already told
ants,
you
O
the Quran
ants,
is
enter
unrelated.
your
It
dwelling, lest
transcends
Solomon
the book
and
itself.
his host crush
The
you,
Quran is not the
while
book.
they perceive not. Okay, so who is talking now? Mrs. Ant. Who is quoting the ant? Allah. But remember, nobody can make Quran.
Yes, it's being revealed.
What do you mean revealed? This is
You're
the
just
ant
stupid.
speaking. Those sentences are the
Can't
ant.
understand simple context.
Is the Quran the book, the word of Allah, or the word of the ants?
Of course, but it transcends the book itself.
What
The
transcends?
revelation was
The
revealed over
ant is
multiple
talking.
years.
How the ant was able to make Quran?
Oh my gosh, I've already told you that
Don't say, oh my gosh,
a
so am I
revelation
ant? Oh my
was
ant. This
being
is your gosh is the ant. And not only that, look at this the rest of the conversation. So he, Sulaiman, now Allah is talking again, smiled, amused for her speech. The ant don't
No,
talk. The ants are mute. He said,
this is describing. If you read the entire chapter, it's describing when Solomon was talking to the ants, and we know Solomon could communicate with animals.
no,
So it's just showing here.
no.
Yes, he
According to the
communicated with
Quran,
animals.
Allah, he taught Sulaiman only the language of the birds.
No, he
Yes.
spoke to other
I have a
animals.
da'if hadith. I have a da'if hadith says that.
I'm not talking about hadith. I'm talking about what's in the Quran.
I have da'if hadith says that Allah taught Sulaiman only the language of the birds.
Oh, that's not true. We know he spoke to.
What if I show you? What if I show you the da'if hadith?
Well, I don't accept that. If you're gonna
Why you don't accept?
bring argument, you can't change it. You brought an argument in the Quran. You have to back it
Okay.
up with the
Well, here
Quran.
you go. This is in the Quran, actually. Here we go. Verse number 16. I was just showing people how hypocrite the Muslims are. If they think that you do not know, they will play games. I don't accept this argument. Now you have to accept it. Here we go. You said Allah did not teach Sulaiman the language of the birds only. I said I have da'if hadith. You said I don't have da'if hadith. Now this is Quran. Allah, he taught Sulaiman the language of the birds only. So how Allah, he taught Sulaiman the language of the bird, and now
It
he's
doesn't
speaking to
say
the ant.
only. Why are you inserting only in there?
It says he taught him
That
the
verse doesn't
yes
say
only.
that.
Okay, did he mention any other animal? Did he mention any other animal? No. It says we taught Sulaiman the language of the bird. That's it. He didn't say the language of the cat and the dog and the monkey and the, no, he said the language of the birds. That's it. It's over. So Sulaiman now he went to school to learn the language of the bird, and then he meet an ant and he's talking to the ant, and the ant is a mute. Nobody can hear the ant because ants don't even have a mouth to have a tongue. They are mute. They are deaf, and they communicate by vibration and chemical only, which means yes, they talk, but we cannot hear words. They don't have language by words. They communicate by chemical, and their language is very simple. Like there's food, there's danger. That's it. So here the story obviously is made by false god, claiming, and your friend engineer here on. Look guys, Hafsah the female, she stayed.
Don't you
An
believe?
engineer, Mr. Engineer, bye-bye. Hafsah, she is more brave than this engineer. What happened, engineer? You're the man. So your
Don't
God
you
is a false
believe
God.
God?
The story is not even good
No.
for kids. The story is not
Don't
even
you
good for kids.
No. Don't you believe God can speak to animals if he wants to?
Who?
If God willed Solomon to speak to an ant and the ant communicated
I did
with
not
him.
say no. The guy, did I say no? I said yeah,
Okay, so it is
God can
possible.
make
It's
everything happen, no
possible.
problem. But it says in the Quran, Allah taught him the language of the birds. That's it. Then 2 lines after he is speaking to the ant. And what a funny conversation. What we learn from this conversation? Nothing. It's just a silly
So
story.
basically,
This is a
well, if you
fiction
look up
story.
the
Lady,
tafsir,
you can search right now for something called, there's a book,
there's
it's
a
called
meaning behind the story, though.
what is
Um,
behind the story?
so basically, Solomon is showing here that he's humble, that he respects animals, and he's humbling himself that he can also get wisdom from the ants.
Phew, that's
And then
deep.
he want the ants here
Okay,
wanting to
what
be
is the wisdom
protected.
you
So they said that
learn from this
soldier
story? What is the wisdom you learn from this story?
So the wisdom is that Solomon is humble when he's communicating with the ant. He's trying to get wisdom from it, because us humans, we're
What
not,
is the wisdom he got
perfect.
from the
We are
ant? You know, you're giving me a speech. What is the wisdom he got from the ant? Here we go. The story in front of you.
The wisdom is that how to, to be humble,
What,
to
how to
know
be
that
humble?
you can seek knowledge
I mean, how
from
this guy is being
other
humble?
animals.
You know, in fact, if you read the real story, you will see that Suleiman want to kill the ant because she said what she said. So what humble? This is not even good for kids. Cartoon. This is a cartoon. This is taken from the legend of the Jews. The Jews, they have stories. They tell it to their babies. Muhammad, he took it, he put it in the Quran. So now what we have, after speaking to you for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, Allah never exists. Muhammad never spoke to him. Muhammad never saw him. They have a name stolen from other religion. They insert it in their Arabian culture. And now all the Muslims, they worship Allah, which is unknown, unexist God. And you read the stories, like the engineer who came here to tell me how amazing the Quran. He said, nobody can make Quran. The donkey speaking in the Quran. The bird speaking in the Quran. The genie speaking in the Quran. The shaitan speaking in the Quran. Yet they say to us, nobody can make Quran. And then we learn that Muhammad received satanic verses, but nobody can make Quran. So how Satan was giving Muhammad Quran and Muhammad did not notice?
What are you doing? Satan never gave Muhammad the Quran.
No, the shaitan. You know, I have da'if hadith. It says that.
Well, I don't accept da'if hadith. So.
Well, I have da'if Quran.
Well, the Quran is not da'if. It's authentic.
But you said you don't accept da'if.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
hadith.
so now do
The
you
Quran,
accept?
the
So now,
Quran doesn't
but you
have
said you
grading.
don't. But you said you don't accept that shaitan gave Muhammad satanic verses.
Yeah.
Okay, read it. Chapter 22, verse number 52, and you can read any interpretation you want.
Okay, that he Allah may make what is thrown in by shaitan is a trial for those in hearts is a disease of hypocrisy and disbelief, and whose hearts are hardened. And certainly the Zulim and polytheists and wrongdoers are in opposition far off. I can't read the bottom. I have to scroll down.
You want to read more to the end?
Against Allah's messengers and the believers.
And
so where does it say here that Muhammad got it from Satan?
it says, never we send a messenger or a prophet before, but when he recites shaitan, he throw in his recitation falsehood. What he throw? False Quran. But remember, nobody can make Quran. But shaitan, he made Quran, and Muhammad did not even notice.
But
so
it
Muhammad,
says after Allah abolishes in it.
No problem, but okay, you see,
and Allah
hold
establishes
on. First of all, Allah did not abolish anything. The proof is verse number 53.
He abolished it.
No, verse number 53 says that whatever shaitan he throw is going to cause fitna. So it's going to cause a trouble to Muslims. So it is still in the Quran. If Allah abolish it, yeah, if Allah abolish it, how is it going to cause a problem for the Muslims? It's gone. You see, it says here that Allah may make what is thrown in by shaitan trial for those who have heart disease. Talking about Muslims who they are weak in faith. So shaitan, if shaitan words is taken out of the Quran, then there's no throw in, is gone. But no, the verse after says whatever shaitan he throw in is going to cause big problem for Muslims. So shaitan, he spoke Quran, Muhammad received Quran, Muhammad did not notice that it's not Quran. So the Quran is a shish kebab. In fact, the Arab, they used to make fun of the Quran all the time. The Arab, when they hear Muhammad, you know, Muslim, they lie to foreigners. They say to them, "Oh, the Quran is amazing. Let me play for you this," and they bring you a guy with nice voice singing. Well, you know, these days people they memorize songs have the F word, the Ish word, all kind of word. As long as the singer have a nice music, people memorize it. You can move the crowd. But the Quran is a stupid book. So wherever we go in the Quran, we will find the stupidest story. Yeah, stupidest story. Okay.
Not true.
Okay,
It's
listen.
divine revelation.
How it's divine revelation? Okay, what the word divine mean?
We know God took Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He summoned him up to the highest heaven, and he put the Quran in the Prophet's heart.
Guys,
And then
look at this story. I thought Muhammad received the Quran when he is in the earth. Now we have a new story. Muhammad received Quran when he is in heaven.
Yeah, when he met Angel Gabriel.
No. You see, according to the Quran, just to show you, I want to show something to everybody. And you feel free to answer. Chapter 53, verse number, you can read from verse number 1 if you want. Who is the one who came down? Who is the one who came down holding a robe?
You gotta scroll up.
Oh.
By the star, when it goes down or vanishes, your companion Muhammad was neither gone astray nor has erred, nor does he speak of his own desire. It is only an inspiration that is inspired. He has been taught this Quran by one mighty in power.
And?
Who is this?
And?
I don't know what translation you're using. What is
I know, a stupid translation. They are adding things. As usual, Muslim, they add things to the Quran.
I don't know. Can you go to Quran.com?
You give me the translation you like to read. Which translation you like?
Go to Quran.com.
No. The same website have the translation for the one you want. What is the translation you want?
Yeah, you can use Mustafa Khattab.
Mustafa Khattab is a big hypocrite liar. He adds sentence. He takes sentence out of the book. Here we go. This is Khattab. Read and laugh. Read it. As long as you like Khattab.
Okay.
Yeah. And now you have to accept Khattab. You cannot tell me you don't accept. You have to deal with him. Okay.
The stars, when they fade away, your fellow man is neither.
Who is saying by the stars? Who is talking?
It's God.
He is swearing by the stars? What kind of God is swear by stars? Who is greater, the stars or Allah?
The Quran is the speech of Allah.
This is not the question. If I am God and I say I swear by the stars, that means the star is my God.
Where does it say he swears by the stars?
You said that. I asked you, your God swear by. I said, who is swearing? Guys, did I say to her, who is swearing by the stars? Is that Allah? You said yes. You said yes.
Allah's not swearing by the stars, though.
No, He is. Okay, read the interpretation.
It says by the stars when they fade
Allah,
away.
You know, listen, read the interpretation. Do you want me to open the interpretation for you?
Can you let me read the verses first? I didn't even. By the stars when they fade away, your fellow man is neither misguided nor astray, nor does he speak of his own whims. It is only a revelation sent down to him. He has been taught by one angel of mighty power and great perfection, who once rose to his true form. While on the highest point above the horizon, then he approached the Prophet, coming too close, that he was only 2 arms length away or even less. Then Allah revealed to his servant what he revealed through Gabriel.
Hold on. You said you accept Khattab translation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Where here it says through Gabriel?
So, I mean, maybe that was he added that because of hadith.
He added that? You Muslims add things to the Quran?
Well, yeah.
Oh
It's with
yeah,
hadith.
okay. The Quran is preserved. So now we add things to the Quran. Oh yeah. Why you do that? Oh yeah.
How did because here it says Allah revealed to a servant, and we know Allah reveals messages to servant through angels.
See, guys, in the beginning, if you remember, our friend here, I asked her, did Muhammad spoke to Allah? You said yes. Now she contradicts herself. Now she's saying because here it says that
Well, this is
Allah
not the
revealed.
part where
Hold
he
on.
met Allah.
Allah revealed. So based on this chapter, Allah he came down holding a robe. It says tadalla, 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 not coming down. That is a lie. Tadalla is you holding a rope and coming down. So he
No,
was the one who taught him. He gave him. It says here, وَمَا يَنطُقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. He don't speak of his own. It is a revelation. In fact, doesn't say that. It says it is inspiration. So the word is used is false because if Muhammad received inspiration, then there's no need for Jibreel to come and deliver anything to him. Inspiration will come to you through your mind, your heart, not by an angel looking at your door, say, hey, I am Jibreel. I have a message for you. That is a delivery. That is not
well, that's how
inspiration.
God communicates. God
That
communicates through prophets,
no,
through
no,
angels.
you see, the word is wrong. God can communicate, no problem. I'm not saying no, but I'm saying here in Arabic it says it is a wahi. Wahi mean inspiration, not a delivery.
No,
So
wahi means divine revelation.
mean inspiration, divine. No, wahi can be anything. Like no, it come to my mind. This is wahi. You know.
No, only certain people can get wahi.
You can
Only
go right now.
prophets.
No, you can go right now and type in Arabic min wahi shar. A poet man, he make his own wahi, which means his mind gave him his own words to make a poetry. So wahi, it can be from God, it can be from your mind, from your own. Like I got an idea, you know. This is what wahi is about. But here we can say it is
No,
coming from
wahi is
lady,
divine from God only.
exactly. It's coming from God, no problem. And here in this story here, it's from God, must be, because now we are talking about how we receive the Quran. But the wahi as a wahi mean inspiration only, not revelation only. Inspiration only. From who doesn't matter. It can be from God, it can be from himself. However, if Muhammad received wahi, that means all the story of revelation is false. Secondly, it says the one who taught him with mighty in power is the angel. Is the one mighty in power in Islam? Or Allah?
Well, Angel Gabriel is the leader of the angels.
This is another question.
So,
Who is the Almighty God in Islam? When we say Almighty, when I say Allah now, Allah is a
well,
flirting
this
with
is not
Allah.
comparing.
Allah is a
Mighty
flirting
can
with Jibreel.
mean
Allah is a flirting with Jibreel. He's saying
no,
Jibreel is the
that's
mighty, the mighty. Who's what mighty? This is God talking.
that's not what it means. Mighty can mean like having power or how he presented himself,
No, it
you
says
know, and he's an
extreme might
angel.
of power. Extreme. Shadidul quwa. Shadid. Extreme powerful. So the one who taught him is the extreme powerful. Okay. It says here, ذو مرة فاستوى. He's a great perfection. Who is the one perfect in Islam? Is angels perfect?
Yeah, this is just describing the angel. It says, mighty
Is the
power and great
is the
perfection,
angel
who rose
perfect?
to him
Is
in
the
human
angels
form.
perfect in
So he
Islam?
came to him
Is the
in
angels,
the form of a
lady,
human.
is the angels perfect in Islam?
Yes, they are.
So why they commit sin according to the Quran?
No angel commits sin.
Allah, he accuse Allah, he will create someone will do mischievement when he said he will create Adam, and then Allah he command them to bow down as a penalty.
They
And
all
not only that,
prostrated except for Iblis.
I have a
And
hadith.
he was not an
I have
angel.
a
He was
hadith. Listen,
among the jinn.
I
He
have
was
a
a
hadith.
jinn.
I have a hadith. It says that Allah accused angels of Islam to be a bunch of liars. Is that correct?
That's not true.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I will show you the weak hadith. Are you ready?
I don't want a weak hadith, so
Okay, I will show you weak Quran then. This is the Quran, your book. Allah, He command the angels to bow down to Adam because they accuse Adam falsely. He will do mischievement. If you go to different verse in the Quran, you will see the following. This is chapter 7, verse number 11. But when we go in the Quran, in different verse, we will see the accusation.
Well, I know what you're going to talk about. It's 232 in Surah Al-Baqarah when the angels are
The cow?
asking God.
The cow.
I know what verse you're talking about. Yeah, 232.
No, 231.
I know about that verse.
231 and 232. Oh, no problem. Here it says, did Allah accuse? Remember, this is the translation you said you like. Did Allah accuse His angels, His angels not to be truthful?
He taught the Adam the name of everything. Then he showed them to the angels. Said, "Tell me the names of these if you are truthful."
So, is the angel of Islam are truthful?
Yeah.
No. That's why He punished them. They could not. They could not tell the names. He told them, "Tell me the names of those things if you are truthful." So, if they could not, they are a bunch of liars.
So 33 says, Adam, inform me of their names. And when he had informed them of their names, he said, did I not tell you that I know the unseen in the heavens and the earth, and I know what you reveal and what you have concealed? When Allah said to the angels, prostrate before Adam. And they all prostrated except Iblis. Yeah. So the angel that wasn't being truthful is Iblis.
They've been what?
It's Iblis.
No, it is the angels. Iblis is not even talking.
No, it says here, we told the angels to prostrate, except Iblis, he refused to prostrate.
Yeah, he told them to prostrate. Iblis, he says, why? It's not me. I'm not the one who accused Adam of anything. Why you are ordering me to bow down? Same time, if Allah, He said to the angels, bow down, why He's asking Iblis to go down? He said, angels. Is Iblis an angel or he's a genie?
He's a jinn.
Exactly. So the command here is stupid. The story is stupid because Allah, He says, all cats say meow. Except the dog, He says ow. Well, he's a dog. Allah, He command the cats, not the dogs. So why He is upset from the genie when he is not an angel? The story is stupid. And then if we go back, you will see that the one who accused Adam of doing mischievement is the angels. Is qala rabbuka lil malaika, and when your Lord said to the angels, I am going to make a human being in the earth. They said, oh, really? You will place someone who will make mischievement therein and shed blood? Allah got upset. He said to them, I know what you know not, you idiots. And now Allah decided to prove to the angels they are ignorant. And look at the funny stories. So Allah, He went and He taught Adam the names. Adam, what the name of this thing? Susu. What is the name of that thing? Fufu. What is the name of that thing? Trump. What is that thing there? Kamala Harris. Okay. Now I taught Adam the names. He go to the angels because he want to prove to them now that they don't know nothing, anything. So he asked the angels to tell the names of those things. This is how God, He proved that He is God. I can name things to I can name my computer a name. I can name my keyboard a name, and I can name my phone a name, and my TV a name, and the fan a name. Okay, my fan, her name is Susu. What is the name of my fan? Hafsah. Christian Prince know best.
I don't get what you're.
What I'm saying, if Allah want to prove that He knew the unseen, He should do the opposite. He should ask them to name things in like away from Him, like go secretly, give all those things names and come to me and ask me, and then I will tell you the names. But He is the one who named the things the names, and now He claimed that He know what they know not. If I have a donkey and I call him shish kebab, and then you see me in the street, I say, what is the name of my donkey? I don't know. Says, oh, see, I'm God. I am the one who knows what you do not know.
Shouldn't be.
What?
Shouldn't be making a mockery of the Quran. It's a holy book.
The Quran is a holy book? This is a holy book? The Holy Book says, I can beat you. I can convert to Islam right now and beat the hell of you. This is the Holy Book. I can have 4 of you. Holy Book,
You
right?
even have
The Holy Book who
your
teach man to be a coward and beating women. Only devilish book will teach a man to do that. Man, he should defend his wife, not to beat his wife. A true man will never beat his wife. This is your religion. So going back to the topic. So Allah, he taught Adam all the names, but the most important for us now, the angels are punished for they are not being truthful. But guess what? The angels, they were right, and Adam and his children, they commit sin. So the angels, they were right, and Allah is ignorant. So the story proved many things to us about the maker of the Quran. The author of the Quran is an idiot. He mixed things up. He tried to prove that Allah is God by a funny story, which proving that he is ignorant. Because at the end of the day, Adam was kicked out of heaven. And yes, the angels, they were truthful. But based on your religion, the angels are not truthful. And that will take us to the previous chapter we were talking about, where it says that the one who taught him is the mighty, is the
well, I was gonna tell
wise.
you.
So you said to me, this is an angel, but the angels are not truthful.
They are truthful. I was gonna explain to you
Guys,
because in the
does it
Quran we
say,
know that
tell me the names of those things if you are
angels
truthful?
they don't have angels
Listen,
don't have free will.
huh?
So they're
Guys,
commanded by God what
guys,
to
look at
do.
this, look at this. Angels don't have a free will. Okay,
They do not have free will.
okay, so if they are lying, that means Allah, he made them lie. That make it more horrible.
You have to read the tafsir on that one.
You can read. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sure it's referring to.
Read. Okay, read.
I'm sure it's referring to Iblis.
Huh? No, this is the
Referring to
angels.
Iblis.
What's wrong with you? It says, tell
Well, I'm
me,
telling you,
Allah,
Iblis is not
then
an angel.
Allah showed the angel. Does it say Iblis say anywhere? It says Allah showed the angels and said, tell me the names of those things if you are truthful. He's not talking to Iblis. He said to them, if you are truthful, to who? To the angels. So the angels in Islam are not truthful. They are a bunch of liars. And if you receive the Quran from a bunch of liars, you have a bunch of lies.
It's not true.
Well, the Quran says,
Angels.
the Quran says they are a bunch of liars.
Angels don't have free will. Their only duty is to follow the command of God, what he tells them to do.
So hold on.
So they don't
If the angels have no free will, how the angels they come with this questioning saying, oh Allah, are you going to create somebody? So are you saying to me, Allah, he told the angels in their head to ask him this question? Huh?
Well, the angels are saying, are you going to create?
No, you said there's no free will. They are not saying anything now. Because if I have a free will, I am saying. If I don't have a free will, they are not saying anything.
This is verses, there's a wisdom behind it. If you
Again, wisdom behind it. Listen carefully. Listen, Mrs. Wisdom. Guys, there's a wisdom behind this stupidity. You said that they don't have a free will. So if they have no free will, that means anything they say or they do, it was by Allah command. So are you saying to me that Allah command the angels to say to him, will you place therein, which means the whole conversation is stupid because Allah is talking to himself. If Allah is the one who commanded them, huh?
The angels are having a conversation with God.
No, you said they have no free will. If I don't have a free will, that means anything I say or I do, it is from God.
Okay, so the verse says, will you place a creature that will cause corruption and bloodshed while we glorify you?
Who is talking?
The angel is talking here.
But you said the angels don't have a free will, so who is the real one person talking?
Well, they can talk. Just because you don't have free will does not mean you can't talk.
No, because a free will, listen, free will mean I can, because a person, he can commit sin by his mouth.
That's not true though.
What do you mean? They just accuse Allah to be doing something bad.
No, they didn't accuse him.
No, they accuse him. Look, listen carefully. They are questioning him.
trying
Will
to
you
explain to
please
you.
listen? Listen. They're accusing him to do something horrible. Will you?
You're
Will
not letting
you?
me
Will
explain to
you?
you.
What will you do? You are going to put someone who will do bloodshed. So they're accusing him to sponsor a criminal.
That's not true. Okay.
It's in front of you.
In this verse, I'm trying to explain to you, this verse is talking about the angels communicating with God, because there's a wisdom behind it, because it just shows us that the angels do not understand the hikmah or the wisdom of God's plan. That's why if you read after, it says when the angels ask him, he says, I know that which you do not know, right? So God's telling the angels, I know what you do not know. And but the angels are saying, well, what if you create a creature that's going to cause corruption on earth? Because angels are holy, right? They don't cause corruption. We know humans cause corruption. So when the angels were there when God made Adam, they said, what if these humans cause corruption on earth? So then God said, well, I know what you do not know. So the angels are questioning like the wisdom behind God's planning.
Thank you, guys. Did you
They're
hear
not
what she
saying
said?
you shouldn't do that, but they're just
Did
asking
you hear? Did you hear
the
what she said?
wisdom behind
Listen,
it.
they are questioning the wisdom of Allah. That alone is a sin, big sin.
That's not a sin.
Yes,
They're
if
trying
I
to
question the
understand.
wisdom of Allah,
They're trying to understand His
I'm
hikmah.
asking the
They're
Allah
trying to understand
directly.
His hikmah.
I am accusing Allah not to be wise, saying,
That's not
will you do?
accusing. That's
Okay,
not
hold on.
accusing.
You said yourself that the angels are holy, correct?
What I meant to say is that they are trying to understand the
No,
hikmah
don't switch,
or
don't
the
switch.
wisdom
Did you say the
behind
angels?
God's
Did you say the
plan.
angels are holy?
Yes, they are
So
holy.
why Allah saying to them, if you are truthful?
And he tell Adam all the names of everything. He showed them to the angels and said, tell me the names of these if you are truthful. It says,
If
glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us, for it is you. So here you see the angels are praising God. They say, we have no knowledge except what you have
listen.
taught us.
What are you talking about? The angel praising God. Who care? He said to them, tell me the names if you are truthful. So if they fail to tell the names, they are liars. What is the opposite of a truthful?
It's falsehood.
Thank you. So if they could not tell the names, if they could tell the names, then they are truthful. If they could not, they are false. They are not holy. They are liars. So you agreed with me now that angels in Islam are a bunch of liars.
No, they're not.
They are. You just said to
You
me they
should
are falsehood. You just said to me,
look up
guys.
Zakir on
Did
verse
she agree?
31.
Okay, let me repeat the question again. What is the opposite of a truthful?
It's a liar, but
Thank
that
you.
goes the
So when
narrative in the
Allah, so are
Quran
you
is that
saying to me
angels
Allah
are.
used the wrong word?
Maybe God is talking to Adam here.
What?
That's what I think.
Maybe it says here. Tell me. He said to the angels. He showed them to the angels and said, tell me the names of those things if you are truthful. How you say maybe he's talking to Adam? What's wrong with you?
Oh, he's saying, who's he referring to when he's saying, tell me the names of these?
To the
Who's
angels,
he
because
talking to?
already he taught Adam the names. Adam, he knew the names already. He taught Adam the names. And now he's talking to the angels. So he showed those things to the angels.
Well, in
And he said to
33 it
them,
says, oh, Adam, inform me of their names. When he had informed them of their names, he says, do I not tell you that I know the unseen? So God is asking, inform me of the names. And Adam said he had informed them of their names. So Adam is informing God of the names.
what's wrong with you? You see, Muhammad, he said Muslim women are half a brain. I have to say you don't even have 15% of a brain. It says in the front of you that they said, are you going to create someone who will do mischief? Allah said to them, I know what you know not. So now we have a fight. And then Allah wanted to prove to them that they are false. So he said to them, I know what you know not. And then he decided to show them and teach them a lesson how great he is. So he taught Adam all the names. Why he taught Adam the names? Because he want to make a test, a quiz, to show them how limited they are. So now he taught Adam. So who is the one who knows the name already? Adam. Angels don't. And then he spoke to the angels, said to them, okay, Abdul, tell me the names of those things if you are truthful. The Abduls of Islam, the angels, they said, oh Allah, we do not know except what you taught us. So now they agree that they do not know, so they are not truthful. You can read the interpretation of it, Ibn Kathir, Qurtubi, Tabari, Jalalain, whatever you want.
Z has a question.
Huh?
I think Z has a question.
You think what?
I'm gonna look up the tafsir on this.
Okay. Z, are you a Muslim? Z, are you a Muslim?
Okay, yeah, I'm a Muslim.
All right. What do you like to say to us? Is Allah as God, Z?
Well, I used to believe that Allah is God.
You used to believe, so now you decide to leave Islam. What happened?
No, actually, I didn't leave Islam yet.
Okay.
So about a week ago or 5 days ago, I joined your server because yeah, I've seen your videos after my friend's recommendation, and I want to look for the real truth behind this world.
All
And
right.
so I found a few sportive friends in here, just like Hachi and the others. So they told me about Christianity, about the fundamental of Christianity, like the concept of salvation and the Trinity. So when some brothers here suggest me to read John, I decide to follow their suggestion, and now I've been read it to John chapter 16.
Okay.
And I have some question to you about it.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry because my English is
No,
not
no,
really
it's okay.
good.
It's okay. You know, my English is
I
not
hope
better
you
than yours.
can
Trust me.
understand.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's okay. As long we can understand. We can understand you. Okay. What about John 16?
Yeah. So at the first chapter of John, uh, the gospel talk about the the uh, the concept of Jesus, that he is the word of God, and he himself is and he is the God himself. And then there is this Holy Spirit and the Father. They are equal. They are the same God, the same entity, the same concept. Okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So in John 14, I'm sorry, in John 14, there is this
You said John
Jesus
14 or
promised
16? 14 or
another
16?
14 verse. I want to talk about 14.
So John 16, chapter 16, verse 14, correct?
No. I mean John chapter 14.
Okay, 14.
Verse
All right. Okay.
about yeah.
All right.
When Jesus says he promised another helper.
All right. What about it?
So, in the verse 17, the Spirit whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him, but you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. So, for what I can imagine, the Spirit is the Spirit of truth. No one know him, no one understand him, no one ever sees him because he is from the same place from where Jesus from. So, and then in John chapter 16, Jesus explained the work of the Holy Spirit more detail, in some detail, like in the 5th verse. He said, "But now I go away to him who sent me, and none of you ask me, 'Where are you going?' And I'll continue, 'But because I have said these things to you, sorrow has filled your heart. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth, it is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Helper will not come to you. But," so Jesus stated that this Helper or the Spirit of truth will not come until he go away to the heaven. I mean, he go from his follower. He went to somewhere else.
Okay. So what is the
So
question? What is the question?
I'll continue. I mean, there is something that really similar to, I mean, our prophet, because in wait okay, in the verse 13, however, when he, the Spirit of truth, has come, he will guide you into all truth, for he will not speak on his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will tell you things to come. He will glorify me, for he will take of what is mine and declare it to you. So,
All right.
you know that
Just
our
I'm trying to
prophet,
understand what you are trying to say. Are you saying that those verses is about Muhammad?
yeah,
All right.
that's what
Well,
I'm saying.
if this is the case, then you just say that the one who will come, this person, will glorify Jesus. That means if it's Muhammad, he should worship Jesus, should glorify Jesus, not the opposite. Muhammad, he put the Jesus down. He said Jesus did not accomplish anything. So, at the same time, is your prophet is a spirit? If you go to the chapter 14, it says that that person who will send the comforter is the Holy Spirit. It says it clearly, it is the Holy Spirit. Is that correct? In chapter verse number 15, 25?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Muhammad. Same time, it says, well, he will stay with you forever. Is Muhammad alive forever? Or he's dead now?
Oh, yeah, you are right.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
missed that.
so he
Yeah.
cannot, and Muhammad is a bad person. How he can be holy, how he can be the comforter? Is Muhammad comforting the world? Or Muhammad bringing terrorism and killing and blood and beating women and replacing women and marrying many women and having sex with the children? So Muhammad is not the spirit. He is not a spirit. He's a human being, and he don't speak, and it says, like I advise you always when you read, don't take what the Muslims say. Muslims are desperate. They have bankruptcy. Like I don't wanna make you upset because you are still a Muslim, but this is the truth. Muslims are bankrupt, so they could not find Muhammad to be prophet in their book, so they tried to find him in our book. But in the same time, those hypocrites, they say our book is corrupt. This is how hypocrite they are. So do you accept our book or not? Do they accept? Do those Muslims who gave you this story, do they accept John 16? Do they accept John
No.
14? They don't. But they are hypocrite.
No.
Either you accept it or you reject it.
Okay.
Same time, if Jesus sent somebody, that means this person is sent by in the name of Jesus. Is Muhammad sent by the name of Jesus, speaking in the name of Jesus?
No, Muhammad, it comes from the line of Ishmael.
Hafsah, Muhammad is coming from the line of Ishmael?
Yeah.
Really? What Ishmael mean?
Yeah, but that's what our religion says.
Yeah, I know. Hafsah, she jumped suddenly and she come with this. I don't know what this have to do with our topic, But how
In the
Muhammad is from?
Quran,
Hold on.
there's a
Hafsah, just to show you that Islam is a false cult. You said Muhammad is from the line of Ishmael. What Ishmael mean?
Ishmael was a prophet.
No, this is not the
Wasn't he the
question.
son of Abraham? He's the son of
What the
Abraham.
name? What? I'm not. Listen. What the meaning of Ishmael?
I don't know.
You see, you Muslim, you steal names, and you Muhammad, you do not know. This is a
It's not the
name.
name,
This is
it's
a
the
name. This is a
lineage.
name. Muhammad cannot be from the children of Ishmael because Ishmael, he have a God, and this God is attached to his name. Is one of the do you Muslim call your God El?
Call him what?
El.
No.
No.
So who is El?
I don't know who's that.
Huh?
I don't know who El is.
See? So Ismael, God will hear. So this is a person, his name, speaking to his God. He called him El, and none of the words used in Islam, all of it together, calling Allah El. So the name of Ishmael alone is enough to expose that you Muslims have nothing to do with Ishmael. Secondly, in Genesis 21, verse 21, it says that Ishmael, his mother, she took him to Egypt, for she's an Egyptian, and she married him to an Egyptian woman. So how the person, he is a son of Aramaic man, his mother is an Egyptian, he married an Egyptian, his son is an Arab.
Yeah, that makes no sense too.
I will tell you a story. This is a true story. My dad, I will tell you a true story. This is a true story. I have witnesses. My dad is Japanese from the Mississippi River in the Amazon. He married my mom. She is a German from Thailand. They got a son. His name is a Christian prince, as in Arab. True story. But again, because the Muslims are desperate to make Muhammad legitimate. In fact, nobody knows even who is Muhammad's father. He was born 4 years after his father's death. This is why the Arab, they said, he is the same as a palm tree in the desert, which means, like suddenly you see a tree, nobody knows where the seed is coming from. That's what they meant. Nobody knows where the seed is coming from. So he is a palm tree in the middle of the sand. Nobody knows who's his dad. The father, he died 4 years ago. The mother, she delivered a son 4 years after. Who is going to believe that? So Muslims are so desperate. According to Muslim books, Ishmael, according to Muslim books, Ishmael, he learned Arabic at the age of 14 from the Arab. How he can be the father of the Arab? Which means his language was not Arabic, and he's not an Arab. Crazy madness religion. But nobody knew his brain. Like, do even they have a brain? What do you think, Z?
Well, actually, I can defend my own faith anymore because when I came to this server, many times, this brothers here shows me the proof of our Quran, the what should I say? What how to put it? Yeah, the mistake, the fatal mistake in our Quran. Yeah, I can even write it down because there are so many things that they said to me. I don't even know about it before because in our mosque, in our
Mosque.
temple, there's no one, even our imams, talking about it.
Lady, I cannot, me myself, I cannot count the mistakes of the Quran with all the knowledge I have because the whole book is an error. From page number 1 to the last page of the Quran, I challenge any Muslim to choose for me a page in the Quran, anyone, and challenge me to find a mistake. And I will find you a mistake guarantee. 100%. Quran is the most stupid book ever. A Mickey Mouse is way better written story, and it make more sense than the stories of Muhammad in the Quran. Like the story of Gog and Magog. Where is there is a creature who they found him where the sun set in a murky water. And the murky water, the sun goes there every day. And the sun disappear. And nobody knows where the sun goes. And then Allah gave her permission to rise again. What sun set of murky? And then the Muslim, they try to fix it. They say, oh, from his perspective. Where it says perspective, it says he found it. If it is a perspective, that means he did not find. That means he thought. They say to you the Quran written in a very amazing Arabic language, which for us as an Arab, we laugh at it. It's a laughable, stupid. So, and then we find that Zulqarnain, he found next to it people who they are so stupid. Okay. And those stupid people who cannot understand the word, they ask Allah, sorry, the Zulqarnain, can you build a dam? A second ago you said they are a bunch of dummy. A second after they are wise and they are talking about building a dam. Are they dummies, or they are smart, or they are stupid? What we are talking about? Well, this is the Quran, a stupid book. Even it says لا يفقهون قولا, which means it doesn't matter what you say to them, they can't understand the word. Chapter 18 verse number 93. And then suddenly right away they say to Zulqarnain, oh Zulqarnain, can you build for us a dam between us and them? And hold on, let us say there's a group of people and they are massive in number. According to Muhammad, by the way, most of the Muslims, they think that those are Turkish. Muhammad, he never thought the Turkish will convert to Islam. He considered them as evil. They are Gog and Magog. So if we build the dam between us and them, can they go around the dam? How we can stop an army to come to us by building a dam? A dam. A massive
It says
army.
that they're currently hiding somewhere, like there's a barrier, and that day of judgment they're going to be unleashed.
No, it's not hiding. It's everybody. Zulqarnain, he's the one who built it in the top of the earth. So how it's hiding? Between two mountains. Zulqarnain is walking above the earth. He is not an ant. Even ants, they walk above the earth. So he found where the sun set, and he arrived to an area where is two mountains there is. So he said, when he arrived there, after he found where the sun set, which is next to my cousin's house, in a murky water, they said to him, build for us a dam. And how he built the dam? Zulqarnain, he agreed. He said to them, okay, give me pieces of iron and copper. Iron and copper? We are talking about thousands of years ago. So the dam should be gone long time ago, and those people should be out. The whole story is a fiction, a stupid story, exposing Muhammad again and his lies. And then if we read the Muslim books, the description of those Gog and Magog, you will find how funny they look, you know. And they are making a hole in the dam. According to Muhammad, the Gog and Magog, they open a hole in the wall during his time. So he rushed to the Muslim. He says, he said, Prophet, what happened? He said, awi to the Arab, awi to the Arab. Prophet, what happened? Awi to the Arab. Like, what happened? He said, today those people, Gog and Magog, they open a hole in the wall. Okay. And this was 1400 years ago. And nothing happened. Muhammad is a fraud. He claimed that the whole of the wall of Gog and Magog already open. Already. This is why he was terrified. Either he was acting up, trying to scare the hell of those people, or it is true. But nothing happened. Nothing happened. As you see, all those hadith are authentic, accurate, sahih. Away to the Arab, Gog and Magog. Here it says the opening of the barrier of Gog, Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. This is even the name of the chapter. The approach of tribulation. So this has happened 1400 years ago according to Muhammad. Where are they? Again, Muhammad is a liar.
CP, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Okay. If you say that our prophet is a liar also, because there are so many things, there are so many evidence of his lies a long time ago. Well, does that even make sense or logical that currently there are not 2 billion, almost 2 billion people that
Actually, 2 billion.
that
2 billion.
yeah, 2 billions. They are followers of Islam, followers of our prophet. Also, when
First
at
of all,
this time,
the numbers are false, because Muslims they count anyone. Muslims they are like 2 months from now they will say they are 3 billion. Just wait. Just 6 months ago they said they are 1.5 billion. So the Muslims are like sound like they are rabbits. They increased 600 millions in 6 months. So if we ask the Muslims, is the Shia Muslim? They will say no. Okay. Is the Sufi Muslim? They will say no. Okay. Is the Druze Muslim? No. Is the Ismaili Muslim? No. Is the Ahmadiyya Muslim? No. Is the Alawi Muslim? No. So who is the Muslim? Okay. What about the Sufi? No. The Sufi are Sunni? No. Turkey is not a Muslim no more. Okay. Chechnya, Kadyrov is a Sufi. Is he a Muslim? No. Okay. So now Turkey, throw it in the garbage. Okay. What about the Ash'ari? Are they Muslim? No. Okay. Okay. Who is a Muslim? They are a hypocrite. You ask them who is the Muslim, they count everybody, including me. But the second you ask them, is this guy is a Muslim? Is this sect is a Muslim? They will say no, no, no. So you will find that no Muslim left. In fact, Muhammad he said in Sahih Muslim 164 or 146, I forgot. I think 164, right? Remind me, guys. I forgot the number. That his religion will shrink and become so small, the same as a snake go back to its hole. So Muhammad he predict that Islam will die. 146, sorry, 146. So Islam will die. So if you are saying, if the Muslims are saying Islam is growing, that again, that prove alone that Muhammad is a false. In the top of that, we as a Christians, we are more than 3 billion. How that to prove that we are right? If it's about who is more, okay, we are more. That means we are right and you are wrong. So this is a very serious, stupid argument. Same time, do Muslims have a freedom in their country to leave Islam so we will know who is a Muslim, who is not? If you go to Saudi Arabia, half of the country are homosexual. You go to Egypt, half of the women of Egypt are belly dancers. The rest are strippers, and the rest blah 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 blah. I mean, for sure, there's good women there, but the whole country is screwed up. But they count everybody Muslim. If I go right now and I say belly dancing, oh hold on, I want to show you. I'm not being rude, by the way. I'm just giving you an idea how Muslims they fool themselves. I will type here in the front of your eyes. Just one word in Arabic. Just one word.
okay.
All right? Those are Muslims. Look at this. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. And they are wearing hijab. All right? This is the Muslim countries.
Yeah.
Millions, billions of videos like this all over the internet. And now because they are shy, by the way, because there is a lot of things that will happen later. This is only shake it, bake it, bake it. And look how conservative they are. She show her butt, she show her legs, and the man, look at the man, he's giving money over their butt. Allahu Akbar. If you listen to the music, they are saying Allah, 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 Allah. They are Muslims. Takbir. So when those people, they speak about God and how many Muslims, we die laughing. We die laughing at you. Number one drunk people in the world. Number one who go sex tourists in the world. If you search right now in Google, you will see that Pakistan is called Pornistan. Called what? Pornistan. They are number one country in the world searching for sex with donkey. Why any human being want to watch a video of sex with donkey? What's wrong with you? So the Muslim have false argument always, and it is silly, it is awkward, it's backward, it's stupid. You Muslim, the second we open for you the border to go to Europe, none of you will stay in his country, because Islam screwed your country. If Islam is successful religion, your countries will be the best in the world. Who is holding you from being? Look, this guy is a gay. Alhamdulillah. This is a guy is praying to Allah. Oh boy. Yeah. You ask the Muslims, are those people are Sunni Muslim? They will say no. Those are Sufi, brother. Okay. Erdogan is not a Muslim. Turkey is not a Muslim. Chechnya is not a Muslim. Kazakhstan is not a Muslim. You know, this boing, 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 boing. This is religion. They are desperate for music. And yet Muhammad, he said to them, the one who play music, Allah will make mountains go above him, and Allah will make him a pig and a monkey. Is that correct? But until now, not a single Muslim, Allah made him a pig and a monkey. He did not say in the day of judgment. He did not say this will happen in the day of judgment. Look at the prophecies of Muhammad. Those who play music, Allah will make them pigs and monkeys. But can you show me one person Allah made him pig and a monkey? None. So if we want to give a proofs about Muhammad being false prophet, we have endless. Look at this madness. Muhammad, he is obsessed with pigs and monkeys. The atheists, they say to us that a human being used to be a monkey. Muhammad, he say monkey used to be a human being. Look at those stories. Allah will gather them with the pigs and monkeys. What the problem with the pigs and the monkey? Why Muhammad is, and then you find in the hadith that monkeys are Muslims. Look at the prediction of Muhammad. People among my nation will drink wine. All Muslims drink wine. Just go. Taliban is number one producer for drugs. Hezbollah is number one producer for drugs. Go watch the videos in Syria and the drugs market. People among my nation will drink wine, calling it by another name. And a musical instrument, so haram, music is haram. Every single Muslim, he listen to music, watch TV, and do belly dancing. Every single woman. Musical instrument will be played for them, and singing girls will be singing for them. Wow. Allah will cause the earth to swallow them, and he will turn them into monkeys and pigs. Well, I have to agree. Allah, he made them pigs and monkeys. Take a look at Sheikh Uthman. This is religion. And then in the same book, you will find Muhammad
Okay,
claiming.
so that's a weak argument you just said right there. You can also find Christians doing bad. So you can't blame the people. You can't blame the religion just because
No,
of
no,
the
no, I'm
actions
not
of
blaming. No, I'm not blaming. You
right?
see, you are not
So
listening.
you can't
You are
say
not,
the
no, you are not
religion is
listening. You are not
righteous because
listening.
of the
I
actions.
am saying your prophet is false because if somebody listen to music, Allah will do this to him. And this is not in the day of judgment. This is immediately will happen. How many Muslims Allah he turned into pigs and monkeys because they listen to music and drink wine? None. I'm not judging Islam by Muslims. I'm not. I judge Islam by Muhammad. Muhammad was horrible. Muhammad actually he taught
No, he
Muslims
was
how to
not.
Muhammad he taught Muslims how to make wines. I can show you tons of reference. He even used to drink wine at least 4 days a week. The Muslims used to go and pray and they are totally drunk. And Muhammad never stopped his followers from drinking, even after the Arab made fun of him and his religion, saying, look, they are praying and they are falling apart. Did Muhammad forbid them then from drinking alcohol? No. He said to them, okay, don't approach the prayer when you are drunk. Why he did that? Because the Arab are making fun of his religion. Look at those. Those are the ones who have God.
Because he saw people falling down and they were so drunk. And then he said that's when he brought the law that drinking is prohibited.
False,
Especially
false, false,
he
false,
prohibited
false.
drinking,
No,
yeah.
no. You see? Do you see the verse? Nowhere it says it's forbidden. In fact, the whole Quran, nowhere it says forbidden. It says ijtanibu, avoid it. Avoid it. There's a huge difference between haram and avoid it. Avoid it, it's makruh, which means you should not do it. Do your best. Avoid is not forbidden. In fact, in the Quran, Muhammad he praised alcohol. He claimed it's a miracle of Allah.
Guys, if it says don't do it, all scholars say it's prohibited. It's part of intoxicant.
Nowhere he says it's forbidden. And here we go. This is the Quran in front of you. Says the Quran saying alcohol is a miracle from Allah for those who are wise. Do you see it?
It says that don't approach prayer with any intoxicants. Intoxicants is not just alcohol. It could be drugs. It's anything that
No, it's about
your
listen. You don't give me those stupid guys. It says this is not this is your translation, the translation you told me you like. It says alcoholic drink before the forbidden of alcoholic drink.
When was alcohol forbidden? When was
Never,
that law made?
never,
Yes, it was. Yes, it
never,
was.
never.
Muhammad said alcohol is prohibited
But not in the
after.
Quran. Okay, hold on. Muhammad, when he is dying, he forbid alcohol because now he cannot drink it no more. So he felt bad that they are drunk and they are having fun, and he cannot drink because Muhammad, since he ate the poison which killed him later, 4 years after, Muhammad he cannot eat, and anything he eat, he vomit. His life is horrible. So when Muhammad he cannot enjoy the party, Muhammad don't drink. Muhammad cannot eat. Muhammad don't enjoy his life no more. He's dying slowly. And this is why Muhammad he said to them, don't do. But the Quran never said it's forbidden. It says ijtanibu. The same time, because Muhammad and those Arab are obsessed with wine, what Muhammad he promised them? Rivers of wine. Okay, if I ask Hafsah, is wine is the act and the work of shaitan or the work of Allah?
What was their question?
Is the alcohol the work of shaitan or the work of Allah?
Humans discovered alcohol, so
I'm talking about your religion now. Don't tell me human
it
discovery.
doesn't say anything about
No,
that. It just says
it's
it's
the work of
forbidden.
Shaitan.
Okay, well, first of
It's
all,
the
it
work of
doesn't say
Shaitan
forbidden.
because
According,
It's forbidden. We
no,
can't approach prayer with it. We can't drink it. It
no,
says
it
to best
says no,
avoid it.
don't approach prayer when you are drunk. Doesn't say don't drink.
It also
If I
says to
say,
avoid it.
no, it's not a forbidden. Don't,
It says to avoid it. It says avoid it.
avoid it is not forbidden. Avoid it, not forbid it. It's a choice. It's not haram. Same time, listen.
It is haram. It is
Listen,
haram.
listen. Let me repeat the question again. You say the human being is the one who discovered alcohol. So the Quran is a lie. Because alcohol, the Quran says, it is from the act of Allah. Chapter 16, verse number 67. It's a miracle of Allah. You want to say something, Z?
I mean, in chapter 5, verse 90, it says that a believer, intoxicants or khamar is is all evil of Satan handiwork. So it's the work of Satan. So we
Thank
must
you.
at all costs avoid it.
Yeah, من عمل الشيطان. But the same Quran says that it is from the handwork of Allah.
Wait, what?
One verse saying that alcohol is from the
Yeah.
work of shaitan, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 5, verse number 90.
Yeah.
Yet he did not say it's forbidden. He says, فَاجْتَنِبُوا. The translation here, so shun them away. Not forbidden. Still it's not forbidden. But in the chapter 16, it says it is from the work of Allah. It's a miracle of Allah. It's a sign from Allah. Do you see it? How it is the work of shaitan and it is the work of Allah at the same time, and not only work of Allah, it is a sign, it's a miracle. Let me share my screen. Let my screen disappear in this call. I will share it with you. Here we go. You see it?
Yeah, it just popped out.
Yeah. It says, verily, therein indeed a sign for people who have wisdom. So, alcohol is a sign for the one of wisdom. It's a miracle. In Arabic, it says ayah. Not a sign only. It's an ayah. Ayah is an act of perfection of God, which means miracle. This is why the Muslim called the Quran ayah. Chapter, etc., ayah number, etc. So according to the Quran, alcohol, it's a miracle from Allah. But the same Quran saying alcohol is an act of shaitan. So Z, isn't it time for you, sister, to leave Islam? What do you think?
Yeah. Well,
It says that it's the works of shaitan because
Hafsah,
they
I'm talking to
affect
her. Let me finish with her. Hafsah, don't interrupt,
You're
please.
giving her the wrong
Don't interrupt.
interpretation.
Don't interrupt. I will give you your time. So Z, isn't it time for you to leave Islam, sister?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I found so many evidence to leave. Yeah, maybe it's time to leave Islam, but you know, in my country, it's not that easy to convert out of this religion.
No,
You
in your
get
heart,
your
you leave Islam. That where you are, this is your story. Don't mention where you are. I understand. But now you announce yourself that you are out of Islam. We are happy for you. What about accepting Jesus as your Lord and your Savior? If there is better person to follow him, to believe in him than Jesus.
I mean, when the time I start questioning about my faith, about my prophet and my books, yeah, maybe that's the time that I've left my religion. I've left Islam, but still, I'm sorry, CP. It's still hard to me to understand or have a faith to Jesus as my savior.
No problem. You know,
Maybe I
no, I'm
have
not going to
to.
push you. I don't want you to say I believe if you don't believe. It's have to come from your heart, and nobody push you to say something you don't believe in. Christianity is not like Islam. We don't care for numbers, we care for the quality. Those who believe in Jesus, they will be saved. And in order to be saved, you have to be delivered from the devil. So the first step for you, already you did, you are out of the devil house, which is Muhammad. The second step is to come and join the house of God. And that is a step you do, and nobody can force you for it. And if anyone force you, you are not a believer then. We are not Muslims who force people to convert because just we want numbers. Numbers doesn't count. Hell will take the biggest number you can imagine. Heaven will take the smallest number you can imagine, because simply most of people will go to hell. Jesus said that from their fruits you shall know them, not from the shahada they say, not from their words. The Lord, he says in the Bible, they praise me with their mouth, not by their heart. So we don't want people to praise Jesus by their mouth. We want people who praise him by their heart and by their act. So when it is time for you, you feel from your heart that you want to accept the Messiah as your Lord, as your Savior, I will be happy to hear it from you.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. So,
You're welcome.
yeah.
All right. We go back to Hafsah. Hafsah, we go back to our conversation. So we proved that the Quran obviously is a fiction book full of errors and mistakes. The angels of Allah are a bunch of liars. Allah accused them not to be truthful. Allah never spoke to Muhammad. Allah never heard by Muhammad. Allah, in fact, he cannot even hear Muslims. According to Muhammad, he have to come down every third part of the night. Is that correct, Hafsah?
Yeah, he comes down the third of the night
Why he come down?
to hear. He says, "Who's awake?" So God is like saying, like, who wants me to bestow my blessings upon them? So that's when Allah is all hearing at those hours. I think that's the time of the Tahajjud prayer, the midnight prayer.
But why he come down?
So God is coming down to bestow the blessings on.
All
He
right.
doesn't come down to. I don't think he comes to earth. I think he ascends to the lower
All right.
heavens.
So I heard a guy, his name is Ali Dawah. He said
Yeah.
God cannot enter his creation. Do you agree with that?
No, I believe he can enter.
But he said that if God enter his creation, he is not dependent no more.
Dependent.
Because he have to enter and he had to depend on.
He doesn't depend on anyone. Him entering creation doesn't mean he's dependent.
But you Muslims, you refuse to accept that God, he is in the flesh of a human being. So when Allah he enter into his creation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when Allah he enter into his creation, isn't it this is a
We don't
contradiction
believe
for
that.
what you oppose?
We don't believe that. Because you're saying he entered creation like he entered Jesus, and we don't believe that.
It doesn't
We don't
make it
believe he
doesn't make
entered
any
Jesus.
difference. If Allah he enter inside his creation, he enters the creation. It doesn't matter if it's a big sky, small house, big house. You know, Allah he is entering his creation. So when Allah he do that, Allah is
Yeah,
contained.
when he came to Moses in the burning bush, he manifested himself.
Okay, you see now this is contradiction, because we ask Muslim, they will say Allah was not in the burning bush.
He manifested himself to the burning bush.
So was Allah in the burning bush or he was not?
Yeah, he was there.
So Allah became a bird?
His essence was there.
His essence?
Yeah.
Is that like the Trinity, like like God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit?
No, that's not it.
So what do you mean by his essence? Allah is a physical being.
No, he's not.
Allah is a physical
I
being.
don't know what he is. Nobody knows the nature of God. So we
See, in
can't
the
sit here and
beginning,
say we know the nature of
I
God.
told you, you have unknown God and you have unreal God.
You don't even know the nature of God. You've never
I
seen
know.
God.
No, we saw
No one's
God.
seen
No,
God.
Jesus, he
No, you
came to
didn't.
us.
You
No,
just saw a human. You
Jesus,
just
he
saw a
came to
human.
us. No problem. Still, this is God. Still, this is God.
No, it's not. A
Yes,
human cannot be
yes,
God.
yes, God, he
No, it
can.
can't.
Listen, okay. I want to ask you, do Allah change his look in the
Humans
day of,
are
do Allah play hide and seek with you in the day of judgment?
no.
Do he change his body?
God does not have a body, like I told you. Nobody knows the form of God.
Did you say a form?
Nobody's seen God.
Did you say the form?
No.
Did you say the form?
Nobody knows the form of God. No one's seen God.
Do he have a form?
I don't know that. I've never seen him.
Your prophet, he says Allah have a shin, Allah have a hand, Allah have
That's
5
not true.
fingers.
That's metaphorical. That's metaphor.
That's false. You're lying.
That's a metaphor.
You're
Yes,
lying.
it's a metaphor.
You're lying.
It's a metaphor. You can ask every sheikh and a scholar. Nobody
All
knows
right.
what God looks
Okay.
like.
Okay. I will ask every sheikh. Hold on. Give me a second. Ask every sheikh, huh? Okay. All right. We will ask every sheikh. Let us see what every sheikh will say. This is your sheikh.
Okay, who created?
Let us see what your sheikh says. Remember, you said ask every sheikh. Okay.
And you come and disagree and say, no, Allah is not all hearing. When Allah says, I am the creator of everything in this universe, said, no, Allah does not create evil. Okay, who created evil? Someone else. Oh, there is another creator. I refrain from answering. What are you doing? So Allah has 2 hands, and they're both right in the sense that they do not, or we do not attribute anything wrong to the other hand. But there is a hadith that proves that Allah has a left hand. And this is not to say that the left, which for us is used usually for bad things. No, Allah's hands are all right, in the sense that they are all honorable and only do things that cannot be criticized or discredited or looked down upon. And this hadith is an authentic hadith, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best.
Let's go back a little bit,
They
because
understand that the word right is used for justifiable things and honorable things.
let us see the other video explaining more about the body of Allah. Hold on. Allah have 2 hands. Here we go.
When it says hands, it's just referring to metaphorically that it's doing something.
He just told you
For
left
example,
hand and right hand. What are you talking about? You know, stop lying to yourself. Anyway, let us play more videos.
it's
Hold on.
not literal though.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
literal
Allah
hand.
have Allah have feet, Allah have hands. It is
It's
literal.
metaphorical.
It is literal. You
No,
Muslims,
it's
you
not.
lie and stop. You know,
That's
shameful
not
religion.
true.
Okay, let me get you busted. Here we go. Listen.
Have a will? Is Allah alive? All of these are attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. And because these are attributes of Allah, no one claims that these attributes are equivalent to my hearing, my seeing, me being alive, me having a will. No one says this. Allah Azza wa Jal speaks. And he spoke to Musa, and he spoke to our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And I speak
He spoke.
But does anyone in his right mind say that it's the same speech?
Really?
Of course not. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ.
Sure not.
There's
Sure not.
nothing similar unto him, Azza wa Jal. Nothing is like him. And he's all hearing, all seeing. So when we approve and agree that Allah has attributes of his own that are unlike any of others of his creation, then when he describes himself in the Quran by saying that he has a face, that he has eyes, that he has hands, 2 hands to be specific, and that he has feet, and that he has fingers, and the hearts are between 2 fingers of Allah's fingers, flipping them as he wishes. Who are we to say, no, 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 no. Allah, though he described himself by such attributes, but he doesn't. We are claiming that Allah is telling us a lie. The Prophet ﷺ is describing Allah to us without telling us the truth. Of course, this is nonsense, and this is only said by deviated sects and cults of the Muslims that do not follow the Quran nor the Sunnah.
So are there real hands, Hafsah, or not?
So this is false.
Oh, so this guy is a liar.
Yeah, he's lying because
Okay.
basically,
Well, okay, hold on.
Allah,
the prophet has never even
hold on,
seen
hold
God.
on.
There was
Okay,
a
okay.
veil between them.
All right, all right.
So that's
All
a
right.
lie.
All right. So I said, guys, it's a lie. I can show you. Even Zakir Naik, he says that. Do you want me to show you Zakir Naik? Zakir Naik agree Allah have hands, Allah have a foot, Allah have fingers. Oh, what he say, but his fingers not like us. Who care? Maybe like a monkey, you know? Who care? Maybe he's an octopus. Yeah. But he have foot, he have a head, he have 2 eyes, he have a butt. So you Muslims are in denial. And then in the top of that, Allah, he sit on the chair. And Allah carried by 8 goats. So is Allah a spirit? If I ask you right now this question, everybody will laugh at you. Is Allah a spirit?
Yes.
No.
Why do you say that?
You are an apostate. You are the Muslim graduation.
Allah is in essence like
No. Allah is not a spirit.
God.
Allah is not a spirit, and you are not a Muslim no more. I'm happy for you.
I don't mean like that. Of course, I know he's not.
You
a
said
spirit.
no. You said yes. He is a spirit. I asked you,
What
is
I
Allah a
mean
spirit? You said yes.
I was trying to describe his essence. I don't know what he is.
Stop saying essence. You see, the essence is just to make it like a soup, liquid. I'm asking you, is Allah a spirit? Yes or no?
I don't know that.
No, you said he is. You said.
No, I don't know that. I don't know what God looks like. I don't know
So,
that.
okay, can you give me the answer? Is Allah a spirit?
No.
No. So if Allah don't have body, Allah don't have a spirit, that means it exists. Thank you, guys. We proved that Allah is not exist, because if Allah is not a body, he have no body according to her, and he is not a spirit, and he have no spirit, so he does not exist. So what is he? Illusion, AI, a website maybe, www.allah. So he have no body, he have no feet, he have no fingers according to you, he have no eyes, he have no butt, and he have no spirit. So he does not exist. There's nothing.
You're just naming physicality. You know, and you're naming that.
Listen, physicality and spirituality. There's no other option. Either he is a spirit. Listen, if there is third option, spirituality or physicality. Which one is Allah? You said none of them. You said none of them.
Because we never seen him. No prophet.
I don't care if you see him or not. This is not the question. I'm not asking you if you saw him. I told you already, and you agreed that Allah, nobody saw him. He's a fiction name. But look, here we have in front of us a da'if hadith.
The reason why we can see
him. Listen. Do you see what it says here? It says in the day of judgment, Allah will come to them in a shape other than the one they knew. He will come to them what? In a shape. other than the one they know, and he will say, I am your Lord. The Muslim, they will start throwing zucchini and rotten tomato and bad macaroni at Allah, and they will say to him, we seek refuge with Allah from you, which means they accuse him to be shaitan. Why? Just because he come to them in a shape other than the one they know. You said to me Allah is not physical, but you said to me Allah go inside his creation, he go down to the heaven. So how he have no physic and he's moving from point A to point B? Even a jellyfish, she have a shape. Maybe your God Allah is a jellyfish. This is why you are saying is like his physique is not like us.
No, it's just nobody has seen God,
This is not a question.
so we don't know.
This is not a
We
question.
can't. So how
You
are
said
you gonna
Allah.
ask me?
You
How are you
said
gonna ask
Allah.
me?
You said Allah come down. If Allah come down, that means there is something physical moving.
That's not true.
If he
That's not
is not a,
true. You know,
this is a true, because if he is not a
you
spirit,
don't need to be physical to come down.
you agreed that Allah is not a spirit. So what is coming down?
We don't know what it is. You're asking me to describe. You're
All
asking me
right.
to describe the nature of God. We don't
All
know the
right, all
nature. No
right. So
one's.
guys, they don't know what they are worshiping. They don't know how he is. They don't know, or what they know, he is not a spirit. He is not a physical body. He is a potato. But look at the hadith, your prophet saying, Allah will come to them in a shape other than they know. And he will say, I am your Lord. How many shape Allah he have?
No one has seen the Father. Even in your Bible, no one's seen the Father.
You see, guys,
So
she keep repeating the
you know,
same.
you know, you know what the
Nobody's
Father
seen,
looks like.
nobody's seen,
No,
nobody's
in the
seen.
Bible, what does
Okay,
it say
if
the Father
nobody's
looks like?
seen,
Well, I'm asking
why
you.
you're a prophet say Allah have 5 fingers? Nobody's seen. Remember, who cares if he's seen or not? You are you are like a big ostrich trying to hide behind a bing bong bowl. But you forget how small the bowl. But you think you can hide behind it. Listen carefully. You keep repeating the same thing. Nobody's seeing God. Nobody's seeing God. We got that. There's another question. If Allah is not a spirit and he have no physical being, he come down inside his creation. You said, you agreed, inside his creation. So when Allah he enter inside, what is entering? A cartoon? A bone? A steel? A dirt?
We
Helenium?
don't know that.
Gas? Maybe
So
Allah is gas.
you can't say that because you're inserting what you think, but you don't know. If you don't see, if
So
you don't know
all
what
what you
something looks
have
like, you
about,
can't
so
just
you
put
are
up your
asking people around
own
the world.
ideas. What do you
So
think
listen
it
to
is?
you are asking people to worship someone you know nothing about him. Nothing.
We know we have his names, we have his
You don't
attributes.
have his name. This is not a name fabricated by those who are before you, the Aramaic people. This is not an Arabic name. This is why you do not know the meaning. In the top of
We
that,
know that
in
we
the
have
top of
names
that,
and his
there is a
attributes.
contradiction. If Allah is not a spirit, so where is life is coming from?
Allah says in the Quran when he made Adam alayhi salam that he blew his spirit into Adam,
Hold on.
right?
Guys, did she say he blew?
Yes, it says in the Quran he
Okay.
blew his spirit into Adam.
Do Allah have a belly?
What are you talking about?
Do he have a mouth?
He blew it.
Yeah,
Bluing
okay.
could mean like
How he blew it? When we say the
I
word
don't know how he
blue,
blew it.
when you
He just
say the
said he
word
blew it.
blue, he blew it. We got it. Okay. What blue mean?
To blow something in some
I know. What does that mean? How you do it?
you usually your mouth.
Thank you. So Allah have a mouth.
But I'm not saying Allah has a mouth.
Oh, he uses anus. How what he do?
I don't know how he do it. He just said he blew his spirit into Adam.
See how Muslim, how fast they crumble with their religion. So Allah he blew into Adam. Okay, but you said Allah don't have a spirit. So how he blew his spirit if you don't have one? He is not a spirit. I guess Allah, he go to the gas station and he got some what they call this, a drink, spirit. Actually, they call it spirit, right? He put it in his mouth. He don't have a spirit. He's not a spirit. They will say to you, the spirit
Yeah,
is Jibreel.
the spirit is created by Allah.
Okay, hold on. If the spirit is created by Allah, why Allah need to to blue spirit
Because when he
into
was making
Adam?
Adam, he blew
Listen,
in
listen.
Adam.
The Quran says if Allah wanted to create something, Allah will say be, and it was. So he do not need the spirit. He do not need to blow. He do not need to use his hands. He do not use to.
That's not true.
Okay, what do you,
Every
okay, guys?
living thing has a spirit.
Did you hear what she said? This is not true. So he need to use his hands. He need to use his feet. He need to use his spirit. So Allah cannot create Adam by saying be, and he was. Right?
Allah made the spirit.
This is another question. Why Allah is blowing the spirit? Okay, he made the spirit. Where he stored the spirit?
He created the spirit.
We got it. We got it. It says he blew the spirit. So before the spirit entered into Adam, where Allah got it from?
He made it.
Okay, where?
What do you mean where?
Okay, where was the spirit? Listen, listen. Where was the spirit before enter Adam? Where?
He created it.
I'm not asking you if he created or not. I'm not. This is not the question. Listen, where it was. Adam now is mud. Allah is going to blow the spirit into Adam. Allah created the spirit. You said in order to blow, you have to use your mouth. So are you saying that Allah, after he created the spirit, he sucked the spirit and then he blew it to Adam?
I'm not saying that.
So where was the spirit? So where was the spirit? So where was the spirit before it entered Adam?
I don't know where it was.
So religion, the religion of I don't know. Why you don't change your religion? Don't call it Islam. Any question we ask about your God, you say I do not know. I know about my God. So now we will go to our topic today. So when this stupid idiot Uthman, he says, can God be killed? Can God be killed? Well, nobody can kill Allah because Allah doesn't exist, and we prove it in the first hour of our episode. In the same time, the Muslim, when they say, and Christian, listen carefully how you answer the Abduls. When they say to you, no one can kill God, you should say to the Abdul, well, that means Jesus is God in your religion because nobody was able to kill him. Isn't this the logic? No one can kill God. Can God die? Well, according to the stupid Quran, the Jews, they wanted to kill Jesus. They could not. The Jews, they were able to kill Muhammad by poison because he's not God then. But in the case of Jesus, nobody was able to kill Jesus. So the stupid Uthman, when he says, can God die? Well, if this is the proof that this person is God, that means Jesus is God. Because in Islam, he never died. Everybody dead. Adam is dead. Abraham is dead. Muhammad is dead. I will die. You will die. Everybody's die. Except Jesus. Why? Because he's God. So the same stupid logic they use against you. How many times I say to the Christians, use the stupid logic of the Abdul. They are stupid dumb. They are the most stupid dumb ever. I remember once sitting with two Egyptian men. One is older and one is younger. When I say younger, doesn't mean he is like 20, in his 30, 35, 36, something. So this guy, the young one, the younger compared to the other one, both are Muslims. Because I'm an Arab and I am a Christian, those Muslims, they cannot take it. So he say, I want to ask you a question about Jesus, how he is God. The old guy, he said to him, don't go there. Don't go there. He said, why not? So I said, no, it's okay. And I saw him in his feet the older guy, he was hitting him under the table, saying, "Don't go there, don't go there." Why? Because this guy, he spoke to me before about Christianity and Islam. I wiped the floor with him. I'm talking about the older guy. So the younger one, I said, okay, no problem. Ask me the question. He said, well, if Jesus is God, shouldn't his father save him? I said, oh, that's so good logic. Well, based on what you said, Jesus must be saved by his father in Islam. Because in Islam, his father saved him. So your logic saying that Jesus, if he is God, should be saved. So in Islam, Jesus must be God. This is how you refute them. Those are stupid Abdul. They have knowledge. In the same time, Jesus in the Bible says, nobody can take myself, I lay down myself. In the Bible it says that Jesus, he came from the grave. In the Bible it says, you can destroy, Jesus says, you can destroy this temple and I will rebuild it in 3 days. In the Bible it says that Jesus, he told them who is going to deliver him, and he is going to come back to them. All of this is in the Bible. So Jesus made it clearly that nobody can kill him unless he lay down himself. However, they killed the flesh of Jesus. They did not kill God. Because God humbled himself. He became in the flesh. The flesh is not God. That is the flesh. Jesus said before,
Okay, so
hold on, I'm
Jesus,
talking, don't interrupt. Jesus said, before Abraham I am. Okay, at that time, what flesh he have? Is that the flesh he was born from Mary? No. He's born of Mary by a new flesh. It's just a flesh. So they killed the flesh of God, but nobody can kill God. For God is always alive. In the Bible it says, I want somebody to help me and tell me which verse I'm talking about. Let's see how many of you remember. It says that Jesus the Christ was life by the Spirit. Anyone remember where? He was what? Alive by the Spirit. So even when Jesus' body is dead in the grave, our Lord the Messiah is alive by the Spirit. Because the Abdul, they forgot that our God is God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, and at the end of the day, our God is a Spirit. So they kill the flesh, but nobody can kill the Spirit. And always the Messiah was alive by the Spirit. So when they say, can God be killed? We cannot kill Allah because he does not exist. And nobody can kill Jesus, for Jesus laid down himself. So when the Abdul, he tried to make it like, okay, what kind of God he can be killed? The Bible is so clear. Jesus, he showed his extreme love to us. Even death cannot take me. In the same time, he proved to himself to us. If Jesus died, killed, and never came back like Muhammad, remember what Muhammad said. Muhammad said that we, the prophets, know earth can consume our body. They said to him, O Prophet of Allah, but your body will decay. Your body will decay. He said, our body will never be decay. So pray, and your prayer will be brought to me, which means he claimed to be God. So the Muslim did not bury Muhammad for 3 days. What happened to Muhammad? Ibn Abbas, he said to the Muslims, the cousin of Muhammad, idfinu sahibakum, for he stink, as all a human being they stink. So Muhammad in 3 days he stink, for he's a human. As Ibn Abbas said, idfinu sahibakum, bury your friend, meant Muhammad, for he stink as all a human stink. In the case of Jesus, 3 days did not make Jesus stink. Jesus come back to life with his holy appearance. And even the one who they are guarding the gates, we know the story, what happened to them. And then the Messiah went to his disciples and he showed them his wounds. So who is the human and who is the God? The human is the one who stinks like Muhammad. As the hadith says, قَدْ رَبَى خُنْصَرَهُ. His fingers, his fingers, his belly became full of fart, and his fingers, they shrink, and his nails become green and blue. That is Muhammad. I can show you the reference. So Muhammad exposed himself claiming that prophet bodies will never be consumed, will never decay. And the hadith in front of you, and this is sahih. And then 3 days after, Muhammad, he stink. In the case of Jesus, any Muslim can explain to us why Jesus until now is alive. We have a movie. Jesus is alive because he did not finish the job. He had to come and kill the shaitan. Okay, I agree. The Messiah, the living God, is coming back. Allah cannot do it because Allah doesn't exist. Who is going to finish the job of God? God. Nobody can destroy Satan but God. That is Jesus. Muhammad, he said that when the shaitan see the Messiah, he will dissolve the same as salt dissolve in water. Then we need to ask ourselves, why Satan, he riding the shoulders of Muhammad, jumping over his shoulder according to the hadith from shoulder to shoulder, giving Muhammad a hard time, yet when shaitan he see Jesus, he dissolve. He dissolve like salt in water. I will tell you why. For Jesus is God. Otherwise, shaitan, why he will dissolve like salt? Why he don't dissolve by Allah? In fact, the Muslim, they believe in the Antichrist. Who is the Antichrist? Shaitan. He's not anti-Allah. He's anti-Christ. He's anti-God. So all the roads lead us to one place. Jesus is the one who will save mankind. Now, today, yesterday, and in the future. And he will be the judge in the judgment day. In fact, Muhammad, he made it clear, and he says that the Messiah, he will come down to this earth and he will be an absolute just on justice and judge. And by the way, that was a false prophecy of Muhammad, because he claimed soon the Messiah will come down. Soon the Messiah will ascendate down and he will judge all mankind. Liyushikna, he said, almost the Messiah is coming down. Read and love. This is the religion of Muhammad. If the Messiah will be the judge in the day of judgment, and he is just, remember, nobody is just save God, because in order to be just, I have to know everything, and even if I know, I have to be wise, perfect wise, because a judge, he might know what happened, still he is fool. So in case of Jesus, he will be just judge. He will rule the earth. And here you see how Muhammad, how silly, he will kill the pig. How silly. So who is Jesus and who is Allah? Even the Antichrist, when he come, According to Muhammad, he is trying to claim to be Jesus as God. And Muhammad, he confirmed in this story here that Jesus must be God. He said to them, I am afraid that I told you too much about the false Messiah, the Antichrist. And then he described the Antichrist. As you see here, he's short, he's hinted, woolly-haired, one-eyed, an eye sightless, neither protruding nor deep-seated. If you are confused, listen carefully. If you are confused about him, about who? About the Antichrist. Know that your God is not one-eyed. How they say to us Allah is not a man, but Muhammad is afraid that the Muslim they will worship the false Messiah. How the false Messiah is going to be replacing God? Why Muhammad thinking that they will worship him? If Muhammad believed that Allah is not a man, this hadith here proved that Allah is a man. In fact, this hadith saying that the Messiah is Allah. The only difference between the false Messiah and the Lord, whoever this Lord is one eye. But we know that this person, you see, when the Muslim they translate the Antichrist and they translate here the Dajjal, they do not translate really. Dajjal is the false Messiah. Dajjal mean liar. Dajjal mean not only liar, like he is a scammer. All right. So the false Messiah, he claimed what? He claimed to be the Messiah. By claiming to be the Messiah, what he claimed? He claimed to be God. And the foolish Muhammad, he confirmed that the true Messiah is God. He is calling the Messiah your Lord. Because remember, the false Messiah trying to replace who? The true Messiah. So he is a person doing identity theft. In Islam, the Antichrist is an identity theft person to Jesus. So he claimed to be the Messiah. In fact, Muhammad said clearly he will make amazing miracles. But here Muhammad he confirmed that your true Lord, which means the Messiah, is not one-eyed. So for the foolish ones,
Muhammad never said our Lord is the Messiah. Why are you lying?
it's in front of you.
We never said that. The Quran rejects that. It
Hold
says
on.
the Messiah
Are
is
you
not
saying,
God.
are you accusing your prophet to be a liar now?
We never said we worship the Messiah. Why are you
No, in the
lying?
front of you. Okay, hold on, guys, listen carefully. Here,
You're just interjecting your own.
who is at Dajjal? Who is at Dajjal?
He's Antichrist.
No, he's not Antichrist. This is a lie.
That is. His name is Antichrist.
I cannot find the name Antichrist anywhere in the Muslim books.
Dajjal is the Antichrist.
No,
So
it's called Al-Masih Dajjal, correct?
yes,
Okay. Al-Masih mean the Messiah, correct?
he's yeah.
Okay. Dajjal mean what?
I don't know. Is it Antichrist? I think.
No, mean liar.
Okay.
Okay. So the Messiah, the liar, Muhammad is worried that the Muslim, they might start worshipping the Messiah, the liar. But the Messiah, the liar, is a man. He have a body of a man. And Muhammad, he described him. And then he said to them, you should know, hold on, you should know that your Lord is not one-eyed. Who is the Lord here?
So the purpose of the Dajjal is that he's gonna come on the day
Who
of
is the
judgment,
Lord?
and
Don't jump over my question. Who is the Lord?
Allah is the Lord.
No, because if Allah is the Lord, Muhammad should not say such a statement, because the Messiah,
I want to explain to you.
is not. Listen, he is a Dajjal. He is
Can I
claiming to be.
explain?
He is claiming to be the Messiah. He is not claiming to be Allah. So your Lord is the Messiah. The Dajjal is still in the identity of who? Allah or the Messiah? Can you answer?
Can I explain now?
No, I don't want explanation. First, you answer.
Because you don't want to hear
The
my point of
Dajjal. No,
view.
I will
You
let you.
just want to.
I will let you
You're not
explain.
being
But give me the
fair.
answer first. The Dajjal is stealing the identity of Allah or the identity of the true Messiah?
He's trying to steal the identity of God.
Thank you. Do you guys hear it? He's trying to steal the identity of God, but his name is Al-Masih al-Dajjal, the false Messiah. This is his name.
Okay, I'll explain to you. He's
No,
gonna
no,
come
no,
on the
hold
day of
on. What
judgment.
explain? If he is claiming, he never,
But you don't understand the context
according
of
to your
him.
Muslim books, he will never claim to be Allah. He claimed to be the Messiah. Correct?
He claims to be God.
He claimed to be by claiming to be the Messiah, he claimed to be God.
This has nothing to do with the Messiah. I'm trying to explain that to you.
No, it's okay. Hold on. Just to show everybody how Muslim they lie. Here we go. In the hadith, is he called Al-Masih al-Dajjal? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
All right. So he is the Messiah, the Dajjal, not Allah, the Dajjal. Here we go. It says, while the Messiah, the Masih al-Dajjal, is blind and right eye, and eye look like blung out a grape. Do you see it? So he's a man. Why Muhammad is worried about Muslim worshiping him if he is a man? Just say your God is not a man. It's over. No. Here this hadith confirmed that the God is Jesus. Because you better know that the Messiah at the Dajjal, which means the Messiah, the false Messiah, he looked like this. However, you should know that your Lord, which means the true Lord, which means who? The true Messiah, is not one-eyed. So what we learn today from the foolish Uthman and the progeny of Muhammad, they are arrogant, ignorant, they do not know anything about the religion. Islam is so stupid, is so dummy, it's full of contradiction and funny stories, and they do not know what they are talking about. One, he said to us, Allah have hands. The other guy, he said, Allah don't have hands, because Muslims do not even know the most simple thing about their God. For us as a Christians, we know Jesus, we saw Jesus, we witnessed to Jesus, and we have the miracle of Jesus, which even mentioned in the Quran, that in the Quran, Jesus can create from the mud the bird, and he breathed into it, which means he give life. Jesus in the Bible forgives sin, heal the leper, resurrect people from death. Jesus, he can take you to heaven with him. Today you will be with me in the kingdom of my Father. Jesus, he says, I am who I am. The same what God said to Moses. Jesus, he proved who he is, not by making a speech, for talk is cheap. I can claim to be God, talk is cheap. But if I get sick, I cannot heal myself. Muhammad, he can claim to be a prophet, but all his prophecies turned to be fraud, including the prophecies about Jesus. Like he will come down soon on you. Nobody came down. 1400 years ago. Muhammad is a fraud from his toes to his nose. Never say the truth. He did not know even what God mean. When they asked Muhammad, what is the spirit? He didn't know what to say. He said, okay, Allah told me to tell you the spirit is from Allah command. This is another question. What is the spirit? You do not know. A Bedouin man who full of lies. As the hadith report, I'm not insulting. He have no idea. He did not study philosophy. He did not study logic. He did not know anything. And he is not inspired by God. So what he can answer them? Okay, they are asking you, Prophet, about the spirit. Okay, tell them, the nature is known only by Allah Lord. What? But Allah is talking now. Even when the Muslims accuse Muhammad of stealing underwear, imagine what kind of companion he have. The best of Muslims are accusing the best of Muslims that he stole an underwear. Did Allah find who is the one who took the underwear? No. He told them, okay, Allah, he told me to tell you, it is not for a prophet to be a thief. Huh? Okay, what about you tell us who took that underwear? This is the moment where Muhammad, he can shine and say, listen, Allah told me, you're accusing me falsely? I took the laundry? Allah told me who took it. Go to the house of this guy and get the panty. No. He said to them, Allah told me to tell you, it is not the prophet who steal. Okay, what about who took it? How come in the case of Moses, the Jews in the Quran came to Moses, ask him, get this guy from death. So ask him who killed him. Okay, this is not underwear now. And this is not accusation against Muhammad or against Moses. In the story of Muhammad, this is a big accusation, accusing the prophet to be a thief. This is where Allah, he should show his skills. He can call Harut and Marut, who opened a school of Harry Potter. Sorry. Yet Allah failed to tell us until now who took the underwear. However, we have to agree that Allah, he was the most successful Harry Potter story creator. As we see in the Quran in chapter 2 verse 102, Allah, he sent two angels in the Babylon tower to open a school to teach people how to do magic. Okay, Allah, why you want to open a school to teach magic? Oh, I want to teach them how they can cause a man and a wife fight and get divorced. Really? Allah, the wise God, he opened a school of Harry Potter? That's a lot of Harry Potter. Now we have a proof that Allah is a true God. Choo kakaku rukuruku mokomoko. I will teach you coo how to coo with your wife coo. And then you cause divorce for the neighbors. You coo. This is God. This is God. And then they say to you, Allah is the only true God. I have to admit, he is the only true Harry Potter. We have to remember that Allah is so wise. And Muhammad obviously is not under the influence of fairy tale stories. Actually, if I show you the rest of those stories about Harry Potter, you will die laughing. And look, Allah, he sent Harry Potter in the Tower of the Babylon. Babylon Tower. Interesting. Do we have any Muslim? I hope you guys are taking notes. Download the videos and share them. Here we have a real education, not like other channels, which is a show of, you know, just gossip. This guy, he said that here we've got them busted for real. Here we have no mercy. Hafsah, she left. Let us see Harry Potter. Do we have any Muslim with like Hafsah? She left, you know, and maybe she left Islam too. I'm sure she was very disappointed about the consequence of trying to defend Islam.
CP.
Yes,
I just want to inform you that someone just raised his hand up.
yeah, I see his name is Mohammed, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, CP.
Hello, hello.
Do you remember me?
And not really, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you had questions about Islam, so I just wanted to answer these questions.
All right. When they accuse your prophet that he stole an underwear, why Allah did not tell who took it? When they accuse your prophet that he stole an underwear, why Allah until now failed to tell us who took it?
What is underwear? What are you talking about?
Chapter 3, verse 161.
I don't see the screen.
You do not need a screen. You have your Quran. Don't you Muslims, you say we memorize the Quran by heart? What happened to memorizing?
Not a hafiz.
Huh?
I'm not a hafiz. Not everybody remembers the Quran.
Oh, okay, not everybody. All right. Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yeah, what is this? I see.
Okay.
So it talks about the spoils of war.
Yeah, but the Muhammad, he stole an underwear from the booty.
What underwear? Who told you this? What's the source? Is it authentic or not?
You tell me what the story about. You tell me. You said when you join here.
I don't know.
When you join here, look what. Let me remind you what you said when you joined. You said, "I here to answer you about question about Islam," and now you are asking me, "Can you give me the sources?"
Yeah, you're telling me. This verse talks about the spoils of war.
I know, but
why
they accuse Muhammad. They accuse Muhammad. They accuse Muhammad of theft. Correct?
What theft? It's spoils of war.
Read it.
It's not theft. It's not theft.
Read it. Read it. Who is the one who took it? Who is the one who steal that thing? Who is the one who stole it?
There is no theft, CP. This is spoils of war.
It says in your translation illegally. What if I take something illegally? Is that a theft?
It's not theft. It's spoils of war.
I know. Now the Muslims are fighting over the spoil of the war. Muhammad, he stole the pieces of clothing.
Yeah. So what's the source?
The Quran. I read the interpretation. Go ahead.
No, you're telling me underwear. Where's underwear in the verse? There's no underwear.
What he took?
I don't know.
You tell me. You are the Muslim.
No, you're telling me he took something illegally. There's no.
It is an underwear. It is a red fabric.
Who told you this?
Underwear.
Okay. What is the source for this?
You want source?
You're saying yes. What is the source?
I have a da'if hadith.
I want authentic.
Okay, I have. So what I would do now? I have da'if only. What I would do? There's a solution.
I don't.
What happened to you? You know, if you are a
bro.
Muslim and you have only da'if, what do you do?
I don't need life. I
No,
have
no.
authentic.
In this case, you as a Muslim, what do you do?
With what?
How you can find
This
out?
verse? You want
How
to
you
see?
can find? How you can find what this story is about? How you can find yourself as a
We
Muslim?
can, we can see. We can see the tafsir, the what this,
Okay,
the
so we
companions,
can
what the
see.
companions,
All right, so we can see
and check
the tafsir. We
and
can
check.
see. We can see the tafsir, and whatever the tafsir.
Yeah, but before we have to know what's authentic or not. We have to check it.
Oh, even tafsir now we have to check it. So what we would do?
Yeah, of course. We have to know.
So you Muslim, you have nothing authentic, huh?
No, we have authentic. I don't know everything authentic. I'm not a scholar. I just answer.
Okay, this is
But I'm just-
this is Al-Jalalain. Is Al-Jalalain is an authentic?
It's tafsir. CP, you don't know anything. The tafsir is, these are scholars of the tafsir. There are scholars of hadith.
Abdul,
Scholars of hadith.
Abdul,
tafsir.
you said to me, we see tafsir. You said that.
Yeah, tafsir and has every tafsir. Sometimes it has many hadiths.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here
tafsir.
Here it says.
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because it involved an underwear. When some red velvet cloth went missing on the day of Badr, and some people began to say the Prophet took it, the following verse was revealed. What the word is used here? Yaghul, which means he is a fraud, he is a thief. You see it? Fraudulent. So they accuse, the Muslims accuse
this is one
Muhammad.
tafsir.
This is tafsir.
This is one tafsir. We don't know if it's authentic or not.
Okay, give me.
There are many
listen, guys. So now I will give him the second tafsir. He will say, okay, this is two tafsir. There's many tafsir.
I know there are many
tafsirs. I will give him third tafsir. He will say, this is third tafsir. There's no more tafsir. I will give him fourth tafsir. He will say, okay, this is fourth tafsir, but there's more. So I will keep doing this all day long, and he will keep saying to me, oh, this is a five tafsir. There's way more. Okay, six. There's
there are more.
Okay, get out of here.
Yeah.
Never waste your time and debate a liar, because you cannot debate a liar. I'm saying to you, it's just a waste of time. Nobody can debate a liar. Okay, show me the reference. Okay, this is tafsir. Okay, this one tafsir. There's many tafsir. Okay, this is two tafsir. It's two tafsir only. There's many tafsir. Okay, I will give you five tafsir. There's five. There is a lot of tafsir. Okay, 500 tafsir. Okay, you give me only 500 tafsir. There's more tafsir. They don't agree. What? Potatoes. Every Abdul is a potato until he proved the opposite. Every Muhammadan, in order to save the ass of his red velvet prophet panty, he have to lie to defend the unhonorable person, Potato Muhammad. And imagine, guys, Lord forgive me for saying this, just to give an idea how stupid what they are saying. Imagine if John accused Jesus that he stole an underwear. Imagine Peter saying, hey John, do you think Jesus he took the underwear? John, maybe. What the heck is that? Those are his companion. Look how trashy piece of garbage those people are. They stole. This is a theft, by the way. They are talking about the booty. They attacked the caravan. They stole the booty, and now they are fighting over fabric. And they expose their filthy prophet that he took it. This is Islam. This is Islam. Muhammad is a thief. Huh? Muhammad is a thief. Victoria's Secret. Muhammad is stealing from Victoria's Secret store. How amazing. I'm really convinced that he is truly a true prophet of God. It's obvious. All evidence lead us to believe so. Why people don't believe it, I don't know. Those Christians are weird. We have all the evidence that Muhammad is amazing. Do we have any new customer? Any customer? Who's next? We have Z. Today she left Islam. We are happy for her. And we hope she will become a Christian very soon. Very soon. A prophet, you know, I mean, this is the time Muhammad should say, who took the underwear? Your prophet. I ask your God, hey Allah, they accuse me of stealing underwear and 2 sets of condoms. Can you please, Allah, guide me and tell me who took it? It's going to take 2 seconds to Allah to tell him, instead of sending long verse saying it is not for the prophet. So you know what happened, based on what I understand from this story, which is obviously present a true moment of truth of Muhammad life. Muhammad, he went to Victoria's Secret store. People are not getting attention. He is dressed as an Arab, and nobody notice what he is doing. He sneak and he peek. He was looking at all the panties where they are red. He have a target to fulfill. Where is the red panty? We stole all the things in Victoria's Secret store, but there is a red panty. My dream will come true today. I will steal it. I will wear it. I want to be happy with it, so the boyfriend of Muhammad will enjoy it. Prophet Muhammad, you are the best of mankind, for there is no prophet before you been accused of stealing underwear. You broke the book of Genesis. What they call it? The book of what? Genesis? What they call it? The record of what? I mean, this guy, he broke every record. He can F as 40 men, yet he could not make one baby. He can F as 40 men, but his wife, she said he imagined himself doing sex, but he never did. He said he was the most weak person between mankind in sex. He broke the record too, even in that. The weakest, he said. And then he invoked his God, and then his God, he sent him a dish of kebab. He ate it, he got the power of 40 men. I hope I did not make a mistake, and that will increase the price of kebab now. People will go to the store, start buying beef. And now we know it's because of me. And Prophet Muhammad revealing the secret. The price of beef is going crazy. Everybody want to eat kebab. And the wife, she will say, honey, don't you think it's time for you to eat kebab? What's wrong with the chicken? Oh, honey, I mean something else. Come on. I mean, we did not do anything for the last month. Obviously, you know. Okay. What do you think the kebab will do? Oh, you don't know that Prophet Muhammad, he ate a dish of kebab sent by Allah, and he got the power of 40 men? I will accept you even if you get the power of 40 rabbit. No problem. But just have a power. Do something. This is Muhammad. This is your prophet. And you are asking the Christians, Uthman, can God be killed? Well, to make it simple for you, nobody can kill Allah because he does not exist. And no one can kill Jesus unless Jesus lay down himself, as he said. And even when they killed Jesus, they killed the flesh. God is always alive. The Bible says that the Messiah, Christ, he was life by the Spirit, even when he's dead. So, yes, nobody can kill God. And Jesus, he proved it. That he is a bulletproof. They put his body in the grave, and he kept his promise. He said, you can destroy this temple, and I will rebuild it in 3 days. And the 3 days symbolic of the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So when a Muslim, he tried to lower the value of Jesus, the first thing we need to ask them, if Jesus cannot be God, for he is being killed, that means he must be God in Islam, because no one was able to kill Jesus in Islam. While in Islam, Muhammad was killed by poison for rats. A Jewish woman, she bought it from Walmart for 50 cents. So, if you are trying to say to me, if Jesus is God, nobody should kill him, well, in Islam, Jesus never died, Jesus never killed, and Jesus alive for thousands of years. That is your religion. So your logic is against you, proving that you are a false person, hypocrite, liar, and your God could not save Muhammad from the Jews. But Jesus, he did not need anyone to save him, for he is the Savior. He came back to the disciple after 3 days, and one of his disciples could not believe it. He said, I'm not going to believe unless I see. And Jesus, he showed him his wounds. And thousands of people, they saw Jesus after his resurrection. So I say to the Muhammadan, you follow the devil, and we prove it every day. Islam is the most horrible and honorable, stupid cult. And Muhammad is the panty thief who was killed as a penalty by a Jew. In fact, when this Jewish woman killed him, she proved that he is a false prophet. If you read the whole story, you will see he asked the Jewish woman, why you want to kill me? She said, well, if you are a false prophet and you are just seeking money, you would die. If you are a true prophet, your God will save you. Muhammad, he confirmed, he says, Allah will never allow you to do so. Muhammad, he failed his promise. He died by the same poison the woman she gave him, which means his God is false. And not to forget to mention, Muhammad in the Quran, he made a promise, claiming that Allah told him that if Muhammad, just to confirm that Muhammad is a prophet, if Muhammad is fabricating Quran, we will cut his artery. And this is exactly how Muhammad died. If he, Muhammad, had forged false saying concerning us, between two brackets Allah, we surely should have seized him by his right hand. Muhammad, he ate by his right hand. Muslim cannot use the left hand to eat. Cannot. Superstition. They believe the hand of left hand is shaitan. Surely, if he fabricate, we will seize him by his right hand, and surely, certainly, we will cut his aorta, his artery. And Muhammad, he confessed that this is exactly how he died. And I believe that the one who made this happen, it was our Lord the Messiah. He punished Muhammad. He made him die in such a way. And he made Muhammad, he forced Muhammad to confess how he's dying. So you Christians can see the clear proof that Muhammad is fabricating words about God and he is a false prophet. The promise in the Quran is clear. If he is a false prophet, we will cut his artery. How we will size him? By his right hand. How Muhammad ate the poison? By his right hand. How he died? By cutting his artery. Do you need more proofs? I hope you guys have a good time. I know that you guys are not generous to give us comment, and comment mean nothing to you, but they mean a lot to me to see people are learning. I love to see Christian posting verses to refute Muslims from the Quran, false book of Allah, or from the true book of God, the Bible. I like to see Christians are being educated. I'm not here to waste my time. I'm not here to kill my time. I'm here to help you. So help yourself, educate your family. For foolishness is your enemy. And if a fool like Muhammad can fool you, how foolish are you? And I say to the Muslims, we are the Crusaders, and we will destroy your Kaaba, and we build a church in the top of it. Time will come, and Islam will be outrooted. For the gardener, our shepherd, our Lord the Messiah, is coming back, and in his name will be victorious. And if the Lord the Messiah is with me, who is against me? Muhammad, the one who could not control 2 women in his house? The potato Muhammad? The coward? The child molester? The panty thief? We are coming. We are coming. And we are always going to be victorious. We are the Crusaders. God is good. So is Jesus. Amen. See ya.